Like devices that visually transform and shape a color to alert you of a condition of interest in your body.
This work has such important impact on people, and so we're grateful to all of the entrepreneurs in the room. Today here at the Plug and Play Summit, we were able to witness a lot of new ideas and new approaches to solving some of healthcare's biggest problems.
This is where you get your inspiration.
Plug and Play is unique in that it's an accelerator that directly joins startups with their potential clients.
It's effectively cut our business development initiatives down to a fraction of what they otherwise would be.
It's really a once-in-a-company life cycle opportunity. I'd highly recommend it.
We predict delays before they happen.
We've been partners for not even a year yet, and we've engaged with more than a dozen companies, so it's been a fantastic partnership.
You want to be here in person as much as possible and take advantage of all the networking events that are there, because you never know who you're going to run into.
Scoutable is a video game AI for hiring top talent.
Being part of Enterprise 2.0 gives you the opportunity to provide your technology right across the spectrum to any organisation or industry.
The nature of startups allows us to do things quite quickly, and the people that run these startups typically seem to be passionate about what they're doing, and that's always a pleasure to work with.
We are a property analytics platform powered by artificial intelligence.
I believe that insurance is one of the most important industries in the world.
The idea is to be at the center of the renewal of our business and to innovate at a rate that we haven't before.
Don't let the boundaries that you live by day to day constrain your thinking.
It gives us a great line of sight so that we can see across a number of different dimensions.
We want to know what's going on across the world.
As a startup, it's very hard to pick up the phone and look at the yellow pages and say, hey, I'm Patrizia from Fame, you have to speak to me. So Plug and Play is an amazing place, to help us actually meeting with the relevant people.
Whatever amount of business cards you order, you should probably double that.
The InsurTech experience completely exceeded all my expectations, and we're just really lucky for the entire experience.
We're a software platform that's enabling other companies to launch services such as car sharing, ride sharing, and also managing operations for fleets of autonomous cars.
The world is changing, so we have to move fast and be efficient.
P&P provides real value in our process in finding the right partners.
I'm actually kind of blown away at the ecosystem and the overall infrastructure and the process that Plug and Play has in place.
We use data and artificial intelligence to predict the future success of retail store locations.
Real estate is one of the largest assets in the world. When it's got disrupted, it's going to be big.
There's a lot of energy here, a lot of people very interested in innovation.
We're already seeing a lot of the relevance in the events that Plug and Play has put together.
Coming to an event like this, having 20 people approach you and be like, your technology is going to be very valuable for our firm and our country, and getting those conversations started is definitely a big plus.
We enable you to document things spatially and dynamically deliver this information to users.
We know that we need to kind of make sure that we're staying up with or ahead of trends.
We're really looking forward to actually transform our company and even our way of thinking.
We're here at Plug and Play looking for new tech that would be fun for the Nintendo platforms.
I can't say enough about the experience and the amazing relationships and introductions Plug and Play has made for our company. All right, guys. It was from our last summer summit. If you guys joined us, just north, offsite at a nice hotel. But definitely want to welcome everyone here, welcome everyone back. Before I get started, I just want to introduce myself. If you guys don't know me, my name is Kevin. I'm part of our IoT mobility programs here at Plug and Play. I heard some little cheering in the back there, I think. So I definitely want to thank everyone for coming here. Thank you for spending your time, taking time out of your days to spend with us here at Plug and Play. Just want to get a quick check of hands to see how many people have been here earlier this morning and saw the mobility portion. Most of us. How about yesterday? A little less. And day one on Tuesday? You guys are the true champions, definitely. It's been a long 3 days for us, and I know a long 3 days for you guys as well. It's a lot of startups. I may be a little biased to say that the next IoT companies that present will be the best ones you'll see, but we're very excited to have them and excited to have you guys here. I have a few slides that I wanted to go over. Quickly, just the agenda, what to expect here today. Also wanted a little housekeeping. On the back of everyone's badge, there is a little information about Brella, our networking app. If you're looking to set up any meetings with some of the startups, please use that app. They're all on there and looking forward to that. As well as there's an online brochure about today's different activities. And you'll see some startup information on there as well. So definitely handy to have there. Before I get started, I'm not going to do the general plug-and-play presentation. I'm sure most of you guys have seen that and probably memorize it much more better than we do. But I just wanted to kind of go over, our international locations and what we're trying to do here, of course, at Plug and Play is drive that engagement between, multiple business units and divisions internally at a lot of our large corporate partners, headquarters. And so we have these locations out for a few different reasons, and I wanted to cover a few of them just to give you an idea of some of the topics that are covered there and some of the opportunities that you have with your teams to engage those different locations. I'll go over them briefly. I'm not going to read through all of these here. Obviously, here in Silicon Valley, we run all of our programs. In Europe, just wanted to highlight, we have offices in the Netherlands, France, and Germany. We just launched a new program in Paris around smart cities. So definitely, if anyone's out in Europe, come find myself or some of my colleagues, Miles and MJ, who are helping represent that program here too. Throughout Asia, offices in China, Japan, Singapore, Indonesia, and IoT programs being run in Beijing, Tokyo, as well as Singapore. So a lot of touch points where we can definitely collaborate outside of just Silicon Valley, and definitely looking to open that up for you guys as well. Said has been on stage many times throughout today in the past couple days, so I will not ask him to come up on stage again. But on his behalf, definitely want to thank, again, all of our partners that are here, all the startups that took the time to fly out here to spend some time with us. Hopefully you guys are having as much fun as we are here. But one thing I did want to bring up, and one of the first guests that I'll invite up here on stage is one of the companies that we found to be quite engaged in the ecosystem, in the environment, engaged with some of the startups that we're working with. And we give this Corporate Innovation Award winner just to highlight and kind of congratulate some of the successes and the processes that they have in place. This partner has actually put in a 3-month innovation challenge, and just recently, the past 3 months that they ran this challenge, it resulted in 5 pilot projects that they are engaging with in the startup. So we're very excited to see that type of success and that type of engagement. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Dr. Piao from Daikin.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much. My name is Chuncheng Piao, president of Daikin Open Zoom Lab, Silicon Valley. This is truly a surprise and a great honor for us to receive this honorable recognition. Daikin joined the Plug and Play 4 years ago. I believe we are among the first 10 Japanese corporations to become Plug and Play member. By being a member of a Plug and Play's ecosystem, with the help of all the startups that came out of Plug and Play, we learned a lot of new things as a large corporation. For those of us who may not be familiar with Daikin, just a little bit about ourselves. Daikin is the #1 company in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning industry worldwide. Our business covers more than 150 countries, with the last fiscal year, our sales about $20 billion and 75,000 employees. Our business covers from small residential, large commercial building, large industrial scale heating, ventilation, air conditioning market. We also have a refrigerant system for the cold chain. Besides cooling and heating, we are also a market leader for the floorline chemistry industry. Through Plug and Play and many startups like you, we learned first and foremost how to work with startups. Given our large corporation nature, it is all too easy for us to just inside in this big corporate cozy zone, while being blind to the outside world, where a lot of great innovative stuff happens. This is a huge learning opportunity for us, and it has also been an eye-opener for me and my team on how to interact with both external and internal business units. What I mean by this is the engagement technique and fresh viewpoint of startups we have come across, translate into how we can interact with our sister business units. The reason why I truly appreciate our interaction within the startup community, and specifically Plug and Play, is become I personally believe that for large corporations to succeed, engagement with internal business unit is the key to the success. We successfully convinced our internal business unit to work with my team in Silicon Valley and reach out to the startup community through Plug and Play platform for crazy, I really mean innovative ideas, technologies, business models. So stay tuned for more call for proposal to come. The Plug and Play team helped us a lot in this process, and I would like to show my sincere appreciation to Plug and Play team and startups for all the hard works. I hope my next step is obvious at this point. I am going to strive to convince, with Plug and Play's help, with your help, the rest of our business unit to get on board with my long-time endeavor of creating new products, new service, new business models, what we can never dream of by ourselves internally. Our vision is to transform Daikin business from traditional equipment manufacturer to become a service provider. If you have any idea, technologies, business models, and even new materials to help us, I definitely encourage you to please come to speak to me. My team and I definitely will love to connect you to our business unit. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Let's take one photo as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Piao. Up next, too many things to hold. Again, thank you to all the partners, part of our IoT platform here. I just quickly wanted to highlight some of the new partners that recently joined and invite them on stage to say a few things. First up, I would like to invite Helen from Chunghwa and Jack.
Thank you, Kevin. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. My name is Helen, and this is my colleague, Jack. And we are with Chunghwa Telecom. So briefly about our company. So Chunghwa Telecom is the largest telecommunication operator in Taiwan. Well, like AT&T or NTT of smaller scale. So in addition to providing quality communication services, in the recent year, Chunghwa also focused on the digital transformation, as well as developing for our customers new ICT applications, particularly in the field of IoT, cybersecurity, and even in fintech. So we are here because open innovation has always been a very important essence in Chunghwa, and great partnership and networking is vital for the success for everybody, I think. So we're extremely excited to become a corporate partner of Plug and Play in September. So when you're here, we're still exploring all the possibilities, but we definitely look forward to great partnership in this open and vibrant community of Plug and Play. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Helen and Jack. Up next, and I apologize, I will say this in the English version of the name, but our friends Florian from Karcher, who he will pronounce it in German as well, so it's much more appropriate. Florian.
Thank you, Kevin. I won't blame you, I keep it in the English pronunciation as well. So hello everybody, my name is Florian Schöbinger. I'm the representative of Karcher here in Silicon Valley. And I'm very happy to be here and getting the opportunity to introduce my company or our company to you. So Kärcher is the world market leader in the cleaning industry and the provider of cleaning solutions for both consumers and professionals. We're headquartered in Germany, but a truly global company with subsidiaries all over the world with almost 30,000 employees. So while we are here, we are looking for startups helping us on our way to the future. That means our main focus areas are robotics and connectivities, and also the disruptive and innovative business models coming alongside with them. If you're interested to learn more about Kärcher, feel free to reach out to me afterwards.
Thank you. This next company's name is a little bit easier to pronounce, so I won't hold it against you guys. But up next, I'd like to introduce Peter from Signify. We can applause.
Yeah, Peter, I'm the head of Open Innovation North America within Signify, formerly known as Philips Lighting. We are the world's largest lighting company. We are the #1 in every geographic region of the world, including the United States and China. And I have joined Philips Lighting as the employee #3 in 2005, working on a very esoteric technology called LED lighting. And in the last couple of years, I've worked on the next disruptive innovation, and that is the digitization of the lighting industry. And we are here at Plug and Play looking firstly for technology to onboard in our connected lighting systems. We typically onboard technologies from 5 startups per year in our products. Therefore, that's not proof of concepts, it's real onboarding. Next to it, I'm also very involved in M&A. We acquire typically 3 or 4 companies a year. Most of them mid-size. The location where I'm now located in Boston was a big acquisition. It was an $800 million acquisition a few years ago. And the second topic where we would like to team up with the innovative startups is data-driven applications. Lighting is one of the biggest IoT applications already now in the world. We are selling many tens of millions of cloud-connected lighting systems per year. And we are looking for smart applications to make use of the data. And we are really looking forward to team up with you to drive the digitalization and lead it in the lighting industry.
Thank you, Peter. All right, and last but not least, I'd like to introduce Doosan Bobcat, who's visiting us all the way from Fargo, North Dakota. Joel and the team.
Hey, thanks. Thanks, Kevin. Hey, it's 2 above in Fargo today. You guys could be there. So anyway, my name is Joel Honeyman. I head up innovation for Doosan Bobcat globally. Matt and Lincoln, my colleagues, are here with me. And if you're not familiar with us, we build compact construction equipment. And we do this globally, and we're the market leader. And we've been around for more than 50 years. We bend and cut metal, and we're really good at it. But we also realize in the next 50 years, we're going to have to get good at making our equipment smarter and digitizing it. And that's why we became a Plug and Play member here in August, and we brought our CEO out here, and we were very impressed with the program. And we've already started to work with some of the startups in the IoT and mobility space, and we look forward to doing that with some other startups that we might get a chance to meet today or in the future. And our equipment in the future is going to be digitized. You're going to be able to run it remotely, and obviously it's going to be autonomous one day, and it's going to change the industry. And as the market leader the last 50 years, we want to be the leader for the next 50, and so that's why we're here. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Joel. Thanks, guys. Awesome. So with that, just a quick reminder again, back your badges. You have the online brochure, networking app. Most of you guys already know, but behind me here is where all the startup demo tables will be. So after you see them pitch on stage here, you have a chance to network with them afterwards as well. So definitely take advantage of that. Without further ado, I would like to invite on stage our keynote speaker for this IoT session, Dr. Christian Vogt from Steel.
that was right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Kevin. My name is Christian Vogt. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Stihl. We make outdoor power tools, chainsaws, hedge trimmers, and the like. I'm also the Managing Director of Stihl Digital, which is our corporate venture arm. So I'm just looking, is there a clicker or something? I thought I was missing something. Exactly. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. Cool. All right, so I thought, given who we have in the room, compelling startups, inspiring startups, and visionary corporates, that I talk a little bit about how we approach innovation at my company, and what we have been doing over the last year in terms of new structures and new processes that we have set up. And then I would love to do a deep dive on corporate startup partnerships, which I know a lot of you guys are doing, a lot of you guys are interested in. I just wanted to share the way we look at this and the way we approach it. Perhaps also just as a discussion starter so we can continue the conversation later on in the hallways. Before I get into this, though, a little bit about ourselves. So who are we? Who is Stihl? We are probably best known for chainsaws, which is the product category in which we are a global market leader. But chainsaw is only one of the many products we build. I've mentioned a couple already: hedge trimmers, power cutters, leaf blowers, et cetera, et cetera. It's essentially outdoor power tools for forestry, for the residential home and garden, for the professional landscaper, and then a little bit of construction and a little bit of agriculture. One product I want to mention specifically, that's our robotic lawnmower. So we already, see robotics getting into our space, and for us, this has started with lawn mowing essentially. So you can see it in the top right picture, the little orange device that is moving about on the lawn over there. That's a robot. Cool. A few numbers about ourselves. So we have been around for 92 years. We started in Germany. Now we are global. We produce in 7 countries. We sell in 160 countries. 38 of those have own sales and marketing subsidiaries. Total revenue is 3.8 billion euros, so roughly $4.5 billion. Growing pretty healthily over the last couple of years, 15,000 employees. And one key thing about ourselves is we currently exclusively sell through our dealer base. So we have a very strong dealer base of 45,000 dealers across the world, roughly 10,000 of which are United States. And so far, everything has been going through them. Even for the little bit of e-commerce we've been doing, everything has been fulfilled through our dealer base. So that's kind of where we are coming from. And now I've been with the company for about a year. And during this year, that's essentially when digitization, when this transformation started with the company. And since this year, we have been driving the transformation. There are 4 key trends that are affecting our industry. Trend number 1 is electrification. That might be something you are already aware of. Chainsaws, hedge trimmers, lawnmowers, everything essentially is turning electric. And that is a trend that has been, in fact, very disruptive. Really disruptive in the classic sense of the Clayton Christensen sense of the word. So it started with, the original electric equipment has been lower performance and has been a different customer segment. We used to sell, for the most part, into the professionals. And with electric, essentially 100% initially was consumer. We are also, the performance is less, the price points are lower, we are less vertically integrated, and perhaps most importantly, our dealer base, those 45,000 dealers around the world, used to make 30 to 40% of their revenue from servicing equipment, and that's nearly going to go away with electric. Electric power tools have almost 0 servicing needs, and this is why electric has been truly disruptive to our industry. Trend number 2, obviously, is connectivity. Our vision is that in the future, all of our power tools are going to be connected for use cases such as theft protection, preventative maintenance, tool tracking, utilization monitoring, et cetera, et cetera. We believe there will be 3 phases to get to this stage. The first phase is an add-on phase where essentially, and we sell this product today as essentially a little puck that you can glue or screw onto your devices. And all it does is it knows when the device is on or off, and it knows where the device is. And of that, you can build some very basic fleet management and theft protection solution already. But that's obviously only going to be the first phase. Phase number 2 is where connectivity is going to be integrated into the tools. And phase number 3, we believe, is where this will be standardized, so you can offer software-based solution like fleet management across the tools from different OEMs. Trend number 3, robotics. I showed you the robotic lawnmower already, but that's not where the trend is going to stop. You know, in agriculture, obviously, it's like fruit picking robots are huge. Drones that can spray, robots that can pick weeds, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going to be a big trend for us. And then new business models, as a service being the one that is top of mind for us at the moment. We believe that going forward, we will not only sell our tools, but offer them as a service. And this can be as a subscription, for example, in the residential space. You know, think of a monthly subscription to a collection of power tools that is available within your homeowners association, or usage-based models for the professionals. Our value proposition has always been to provide reliable tools that are available whenever you need them, and we believe that with digital levers, like as a service, which includes the maintenance, which includes the repair, et cetera, we can bring that same value proposition to the next level. So those are 4 significant trends, and the question is, how is the company going to respond to those trends? How are we going to be successful for the next 90 years? You know, we've been around for 90 years, so what about the next 90 years? And that's what we've been working on over the last year. The challenge here is that not only do we need a list of initiatives, you know, that we can just work down one initiative at a time. That alone won't make us successful. What we really need is we need to change how we approach things. You know, we need not just the what we're going to do, but also how we're going to do this. And the reason is very straightforward. In the old world, the innovation levers we had to our avail were of mechanical nature. So we use them to make our power tools more performant. We use them to make our power tools more robust. We use them to make them lighter. You know, in all these 3 dimensions, we knew was something that our customers wanted. We didn't even have to ask our customers. This was the right thing to do, and we could just optimize along these 3 dimensions, and we were good. In the new world, all these digital innovation levers are going to come on top, and all of a sudden, the solution space is gigantic compared to what it was in the past. And all of a sudden, it is no longer clear what exactly our customers want. In fact, even if we asked our customers, they wouldn't necessarily know what they want. And this is why new ways of working are so important. You know, this is why we need to become more agile to explore and to find out what it really is that our customers want. And part of this is also that we need to expand our innovation toolbox. So we, and that's probably not unique in this sense, we used to have a number of what we call innovation tools in our innovation toolbox. So the classic tools are corporate strategy, research and development, strategic partnerships. That's sort of what most companies do to get to do innovation, incremental innovation. And that's good. Those are proven tools that have served us and that have served many other companies very well in the past. But if you look at this, all of these tools are very inside out. You know, and the potential to find something that is disruptive to our industry is very little. You know, So we found that we need to add more tools to our innovation toolbox, tools that are more outside in and that have the potential to disrupt. And this is why we added 3 new groups at Stihl. One, and I call this incubation here, that's essentially the team that explores, validates, and then goes field tests new business models. The tool sharing idea, the various as a service models, those are examples of what we do internally. Validation first, incubation second. So the second new innovation tool we added is startup partnerships. So we are working with startups either to make our products better or to sell more or to become more productive internally without making equity investment, just partnerships. And the third, that's venturing. That's like many companies are doing this. That's about investments, making investments where it makes sense. So it's really, the way I've been thinking about it is really expanding the innovation toolbox to add tools in areas where we didn't used to have them. I want to do, knowing who is in the room, with all these startups and corporates, and I know that a lot of you guys are doing already partnerships together. I would love to do a deep dive on these partnerships in particular and talk a little bit about how we approach this, give a few examples of what we are doing, and then also suggest a little bit of a framework for how to think about this. The reason why we are a strong believer in startup partnerships, also vis-a-vis, or especially vis-a-vis corporate venturing, is because they have 3 key advantages over venturing. It requires a lot less capital to do a partnership with a startup compared to buying equity in a startup. It is less risky, because you put in less money, but also because you can choose to work with more mature startups without necessarily increasing your ticket size, which is exactly what would happen in venturing. And thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, the time to impact is a lot shorter. After all, you're doing a project with a startup, and you're going to have the results at the end of the project, whereas in venturing, you make the investment, and then you wait 3 to 5 years to find out what happens. So those are some key advantages that partnerships have over venturing. And here are some examples of what we have done, and it's a selection. This one here is essentially a very product-focused partnership. So there is, and again, it's about this robotic lawnmower. The way robotic lawnmowers work today is very basic. So the customer, when they buy one, they need to install a boundary wire along the edges of the lawn. So it's essentially an electric wire, an invisible fence. The robot can sense it, and all it does is it moves around randomly, and whenever it hits the invisible fence, it turns around. That's how it works today. It's very robust as a system, but obviously there's this customer pain point. Someone needs to install this wire. And a lot of customers don't necessarily like that. So we are looking into alternative ways for the robot to navigate. And there are a ton of technologies out there that you could use, all the way from GPS-based navigation to LiDAR to computer vision. And one of the startups we are working with is a computer vision startup whose technology we are now putting into our robots to see how well it might work on your lawn. A second example is something we are more doing to increase productivity, specifically in our tool testing division. So what these guys do is whenever we develop a new tool or new version of a tool, these guys go out and stress test it. And they see when it fails, how usable it is, et cetera, et cetera. This has been, in the past, a very manual effort. So taking the videos, taking the pictures, describing what has happened and what the results were, all of this has been done manually. The communications between the different team members has been very manually, like at best through email, but then when you're in the field, it's like phone calls, etc. So there's an app that Stihl has actually invested in even, which is called Freiraum, and we have been using this as a tool to streamline the whole process. From helping the teams communicate more effectively with each other, to taking pictures, taking videos, documenting them, and essentially streamlining everything. Right? We are now working on APIs back into our development database, so this is going to be an end-to-end solution essentially for tool testing. Benefit for us, we are the first to use it, we are the first company who gets to use it. Benefit for the startup, they get to build a whole solution for this particular use case that they can then go sell to other companies as well. Third example I want to bring up is, again, tool testing. So this is a division, that happens to be very visionary in our company. The other thing they are doing is, or the other pain point they have always been experiencing is to test tools that can use attachments. So there are these tools, where you can actually put on different types of attachment. With one attachment, you might be able to prune a tree. With another attachment, you might be able to edge your lawn. And the thing is, depending on the attachment, the stress on the engine, it can be very different. And this is something that the testing division wasn't able to capture in the past. And obviously, it can have significant implications for the result of a test. What these guys want to find out after all is, when I put this thing to stress and use it a lot, like when does what component fail, in what sequence, what are the components that are least robust, et cetera, et cetera. And knowing what attachment has been used in these test cases in a reliable fashion is a huge benefit. So there's another startup we're working with that uses machine learning to detect the signature, essentially, of different types of attachment, and then can automatically derive what attachment is being used going forward. And we can even go back to our historic data and classify it into the different types of attachments. So these are three examples we have been doing, and I want to suggest a little bit of a framework that you can use to kind of structure how you can go about startup partnerships. The way we have been thinking about it is essentially in three types of startup partnerships. There is the first type is what we call product focused, and that's the first example I showed. That's where you use the technology or the product of a startup to make your products better. And we are trying to do this for our robotic lawnmowers, using potentially computer vision, maybe a different technology to make them better. The second type of partnership is what we call portfolio focused. And that's very basic. In this case, you take the technology or actually the product of a startup and shove it through your go-to-market channel. Huge benefit for the startup because it helps them scale, and it helps the corporate in turn to fill a gap within their product portfolio. And the last one is productivity oriented. So the two use cases we just saw about our tool testing division, those are productivity focused. You use a startup's technology or product internally to improve your productivity. Now across the three, there's a little bit of a trade-off between potential and feasibility of these partnerships. So a product-focused partnership can have enormous potential. You make a product better, and that product now may, increase market share significantly due to that improvement. But product-focused partnerships are also a lot harder to pull through. That's simply because, everything, a corporate has processes to get a new product to market, and those processes are typically long and sophisticated and complex. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. Actually, that's a good thing, because a corporate has a ton to lose. So there's a reason why these processes are in place. But at the same time, these processes can be very strenuous on the startup, and they will certainly take a lot of time and resources. So there's a bit of a, on one side, high potential. On the other side, there are some challenges as far as the feasibility of these partnerships is concerned. As you go to the right, the situation flips. Productivity-oriented partnerships are a lot easier to pull through. You know, it's a lot easier for a corporate to try out something internally that doesn't affect the customer, that doesn't affect the product portfolio. But obviously then the potential, you know, for this, what you take away, what the corporate takes away from it is also slightly less. We have found that when you get started with these type of partnerships, it is usually a good idea to start with these productivity-oriented partnerships just because they are a little easier, so you can warm up doing those until eventually you start doing more and more product-oriented partnerships. There's another way to look at this, to look at these partnerships, and to describe this other school of thought, essentially, let me do a quick detour into the chasm theory that Geoffrey Moore has proposed. How many of you are familiar with Geoffrey Moore's chasm theory? That is probably the majority, or maybe not quite. So essentially, in a nutshell, the idea, and I'm just going to grossly oversimplify here. Essentially, every startup has an early stage and a later stage. The early stage is where they don't have a whole solution yet. And so when they want to sell this initial product, they require a very visionary customer. That visionary customer needs to be okay with the gaps here and there in the product for the benefit of being first to use it and getting a competitive advantage out of it. This works well if you find these visionaries. The challenge is there are not that many visionaries in the world. The mainstream market of non-visionaries is a lot greater, and eventually a startup wants to tap into that mainstream market as well. For the mainstream market, you need a whole solution, something that works end-to-end. You know, these guys are going to be excited to be one of the first to use your product, but the product needs to work really well, you know, and leave nothing to be desired. And to get from the first phase, from the early stage to the mainstream phase, it can be very tricky for startups. And that's where where most of the startups, in fact, fail. You know, and that's what Geoffrey Moore calls the chasm. So that's essentially, in a nutshell, I hope I didn't simplify too much, but in a nutshell, what this book is about. And this lends itself to another way to look at startup partnerships, and that's essentially pre-chasm and post-chasm. You know, in a pre-chasm partnership, the startup finds a very visionary corporate which is eager to use the solution first. And they are willing to put in the effort to develop that solution together with the startup. You know, that can be a solution for a use case determined by the corporate. You know, that niche use case might be something that, or will be something the corporate cares about. So the startup might even choose to do this for this corporate. But the benefit for the startup at the end of the partnership is that they can go and sell this niche this solution for this niche use case to other similar corporates. And they're going to have a whole solution at the end of the product that they can sell to other corporates as well, who may not even be as visionary. And then there are post-chasm partnerships as well. Here, the corporate doesn't need to be as visionary, you know, and the startup doesn't, you know, because the startup, and it's not necessary because the startup already has a whole solution. Those corporates are still interested in being an early adopter, but they're not necessarily willing to be a first adopter at the risk of introducing something that is not a fully baked solution yet. Right? So this is another way of looking at it, and depending on how loving and how risk adverse you are as a corporate, it may make sense to think a little bit about, you know, if you want to work with a very early stage startup or you want to work with a startup that is a little bit more mature. So this essentially concludes my talk. I want to add one thing at the end of it, and this is essentially like a model that we have implemented at Stihl to facilitate and to foster partnerships, startup partnerships within the organization. Ultimately, a partnership needs to be with a product organization. You know, there's always a product organization or corporate function that ends up doing most of the work with a startup. Now, these the leaders within those organizations are the ones who are going to make the decision or going to have the budget to give the go-ahead for a partnership. And those might also be the visionaries. But most of the time, those are not the people who have the time to go and find startups to do these things. You know? These guys need a little bit of help. And this is where it gets, and this is why we have found it very helpful to install a net new role at Stihl, which we call the Startup Partnership Manager, whose role it is essentially to identify opportunities, to work with startups, and then incubates those partnerships and accompanies those partnerships to make them successful. It can be one person initially, it can be a small team, it just depends on the size of the corporate ultimately. But what this guy is going to do is a few steps. Number one, this guy or gal is going to build what we call our internal network. So they're going to work with a leader in every business unit, in every product group, in every corporate function, and is going to understand what the challenges are that these people are grappling with, and what the opportunities might be to work with some startups. And then she goes and finds startups that could help. For every challenge, she's going to talk to like a dozen startups that might be a good fit and filters the list down to 2 or 3. And with these 2 or 3, she again approaches the business unit and organizes a set of pitches. And then this can be the corporate division that essentially has the last say in terms of what startups they want to work with. At the end of the day, chemistry is a big part of, a big component for a successful partnership as well. But she does the pre-filtering essentially, and then the last decision can be made by the corporation. The Startup Partnership Manager also helps set up a startup partnership, so she helps both sides negotiate a deal. She helps both sides put together teams, especially the corporate side, put together a team for this. And then she is going to accompany the project end to end. Very hands-off in the background, but what is important is that she ensures corporate and startup are working with each other at eye level. Especially for a corporation that hasn't been doing a lot of work with startups together, that's key. Because it's easy for corporates to just require of the startups to just behave like any other supplier. And that usually doesn't work very well because the startups just simply don't have the resources that other larger suppliers to the corporation might have. Yeah, and ultimately, if the partnership goes really well, there's even an option to second some of the corporate employees to the startup, let them work together hands-on on the ground for a couple of weeks. That will have a number of advantages. Advantage number one is you're going to advance the project, obviously, because now people are really working together, and that's usually more productive. But it also exposes the corporate employee to the ways of working of a startup, that hopefully more agile ways of working, more iterative, more customer-oriented ways of working of a startup is going to be essentially, it should be eye-opening to a lot of corporate employees, and those are learnings, very valuable learnings that they can take back to the mothership and spread the word, spread the gospel. Cool. I just want to close, taking a step back again. So we've talked a lot about startup partnerships. Again, this is not everything like we do, probably not everything a corporate should be doing. We talked about like 3 pillars, essentially. Incubate your own things. There are things that we don't need to partner a lot. For us, this is new business models, new as-a-service models. Something that is not disruptive to what we are doing. It's just a new business model. There are strong assets we can leverage at Stihl, like our base of 45,000 dealers around the world. Dealers that we can use as the people on the ground to provide new as-a-service models. So those kind of ideas lend themselves for internal incubation. But then there are partnerships, and then there's venturing. And for us, at least one of the key roles for venturing is to cover everything that might be disruptive. right? Something that is truly disruptive to your corporation. If you want to hedge against this, an investment is almost the only thing you can do. You're not going to incubate that internally, and you're not going to partner on this because no one wants to do this. But as an investment, it can be a good hedge. So these three pillars together, I think for us, that's our innovation toolbox. The one that we do the most, though, and that, again, those are the startup partnerships for the reasons I mentioned, because it's very limited capital that you need to put in. It's very limited risk, if you think about it. And then you get results fairly quickly, because at the end of a project, there's also already something very tangible you have learned, and maybe that has come out of it for your product portfolio as well. So that was it from my side. Hopefully that was helpful. If you guys want to continue the conversation, I'll be around for the rest of the afternoon. I'm looking forward to some interesting hallway conversations on this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Dr. Vaught, for kicking us off the IoT Expo for Winter Summit. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jeremy Brown. I'm on the venture side of Plug and Play. Focused on IoT investments. So just want to give you a little background. IoT was actually one of the first verticals that was launched here at Plug and Play back in 2014. And I would say it's probably as exciting, if not more exciting of a vertical now as it was then. Just thinking about the number of IoT deployed devices, over the next decade, it's projected to be about 50 billion more than it is today, about 10 trillion in market revenue, indirectly and directly related in growth over the next decade. So it's a very green space still, really, really exciting space to be in. Just some of the companies that we talk to on a daily basis, really excited about the rollout of 5G, the increasing importance of edge computing, AI applications for IoT devices. It goes on and on and on. So we're really excited to have the startups in our Batch 9 present today. And we look forward to discussions and networking afterwards. So first up, I would like to introduce Guy of Atlas Dynamics.
How do I move?
Yeah, and then point it in that direction.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Guy, and I'm the CMO of Atlas Dynamics, a designer and manufacturer of smart UAVs. Now, if there is one thing I want you to remember from this speech, is this. We solved the biggest problem of the UAV industry today. And that's advanced aerospace in scale. That means high capabilities in lower cost. Now, I know it might sound a bit far-fetched, but I'm proud to say that this is exactly what we've been doing for the past 3 years. In these 3 years, we moved from being 3 Israeli founders that are coming from aerospace, robotics, and venture, to 38 professionals in the field of aerospace and machine learning. We raised $7 million. We're operating from Israel, the EU, and the US. We are keen to define the next generation of aerospace, and together, we set a new standard for UAVs, for the professional market. So this is the Atlas Pro, our flagship drone that basically represents our company's capabilities and DNA. First of all, unique design in both aerodynamics and electric propulsion, allowing us to triple the flight time and range in the industry. Together with our real-time artificial intelligence, the drone can work autonomously, self-optimizing its energy efficiency while flying and understanding its mission. And combining with mesh communication that is embedded in the product, allowing multi-drone control, also known as Swarm. Now, we created this unique technology, but one that is also cost-effective from day one. And we are doing it not by chance, but by design. You see, in Atlas, we operate under a very clear methodology that we called Aeroscale. It's aerospace in scale. It's the combination of high-end aerospace technology with profound understanding and experience in consumer-like scalability, mass production, cost reduction, testing, safety. Now that set us apart from all the other platforms maker out there and provide us with a unique competitive advantage, high capabilities in an affordable pricing. Now that leads us to product market fit. In the last 6 months, we've received orders and sold hundreds of units to leading security and maintenance organizations in the EU and in the US. We partnered with leading institutions in the field of aerospace and security, such as Rafael and Luxriot. We're growing exponentially, and we're receiving orders every day. But besides technology and besides business models, we also have the privilege of helping fine people save lives. Just like in this case, where a lady was saved after being missing for 30 hours using our micro drones. Now, as an aerospace company, we don't stop with micro drones. Recently, we started developing new concepts for aerodynamics that basically exceed design and imagination and will allow taking 700 pounds to 70 miles electrically, autonomously, cost-effectively. I'm not going to get too much into details now, but this is something only an aeroscale company can do. Now, I'll tell you the truth. It's not easy. But the fact that this is hard is part of the reason that we chose to do frontier technology. Now, if you are interested in defining an industry, in defining and exceeding both physics and business norms, and getting one step closer to another step for mankind, I would be happy if you come and talk to me after the presentations. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Joe. A nice fun fact about Joe is he started his first company at the age of 15, a parking business. Joe, here's Uptake.
Parking lots are a great business. That's still going today. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm the Vice President of Pre-Sales at Uptake, and I'm really happy to be here today. At Uptake, we believe that machines don't have to fail. We're based in Chicago, Illinois. We were founded in 2014, so we're about 4 years old. I've been there for about 3.5 of those 4 years. We've scaled up to about 500 employees with offices now around the world. 82% of our workforce is dedicated towards data science and engineering. We're not a hardware company. We're strictly focused on processing the data that's flowing through our platform, and our latest valuation is at $2.3 billion. We operate in these key 8 industries. You may have seen just yesterday we announced our newest customers, Rolls-Royce, in our aviation division. We're monitoring the Trent engine that hangs under the wing of some of today's most modern aircraft, specifically the Boeing 787 and the Airbus A350. The goal there is to ensure those aircraft leave the gate on time and are working correctly. We're also operating heavily in energy. We've got offices in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai, which focus on oil and gas. We also have an office down in Houston doing the same. We are looking at fleet as well, so we have a whole product suite for on-highway trucks, and again, ensuring that those trucks make it to their destination and the operators are driving those vehicles in accordance with industry norms. If you look at our product portfolio, this is one example of the suite that we have. We can really take our clients on a full journey of digital transformation. So if a client only has, let's say, work order data, we can work with that. If a client has assets but they aren't connected, one of the things that we can do is leverage our asset strategy library, which is a collection of over 800 asset types, over 55,000 ways that those assets can fail are chronicled within our platform. We can leverage that to simply just optimize PM cycles, reduce the cost of maintaining equipment, and extend the life of it. If a client does have assets that are gathering data, we can bring them up to maybe a condition-based monitoring solution where we can tell them that those pieces of equipment are not operating in accordance with their traditional norms. And then when you look at other assets that have repair records, they have data flowing, we can bring people into a full predictive solution that's taking advantage of all the AI and machine learning that we've built into our platform to let people know 6, 10, 15 days before a critical failure occurs on a subsystem within their asset. Real-world impact of this is measurable. At Uptake, we're not going to do analytics for the sake of analytics. We're specifically tied to key industry KPIs with our customers. One wind farm in Texas, this is owned by Berkshire Hathaway, actually. We're able to save them over $3.3 million by understanding failures before they occur. If a catastrophic failure happens, obviously that turbine has to be taken down, repairs have to be executed, and that costs a lot of money in downtime. By understanding that failure was going to occur before it did, we're able to save a tremendous amount of money scaled across the fleet. Again, in rail, probably the most famous locomotive in the world right now is the George Bush locomotive that's operating on TV all day in Texas. We're monitoring that, and about 11,000 others from around the world, all reporting into our cloud. We're saving railroads over $160,000 per locomotive per year in downtime and additional costs. So if you're interested in improving availability and reliability of your assets, if you're interested in improving productivity, please give us a call. We're Uptake. We've got a booth or a table over there with some business cards on it and some additional information. I'm more than happy to talk with you. Thanks, everybody.
All right, next up we have Owen of Slamcore. Owen has taken part in a 200-year-old British competition where you chase a 9-pound roll of cheese or wheel of cheese down a hill. Exciting fact. All right, Slamcore. Thank you.
Yes, the real stupid thing is I did it twice, so. Well, thanks for the invite. So my name's Owen, I'm the CEO of Slamcore. And robots, I'm going to talk to you today about robots. Robots sit in the intersection between hardware and software. And we are genuinely reaching a tipping point. With the cost of electronics coming down, and machine learning allowing us to do things in software we didn't think would be possible for decades. The end result is we can deliver better performance for lower cost. And for many applications, the use of robotics is starting to make sense. Stock check-in, moving material around sites, inspecting infrastructure. There are hundreds and thousands of applications for robots out there in the consumer and commercial space. And this is adding up to a very large market opportunity, which is only growing day by day. My company, Slamcore, span out from one of the top universities in the world. And amongst our founding team are genuine world leaders in this space. We're now 17 strong, with 10 PhDs and decades of industrial experience. We specialize in the design of algorithms that turn sensor information into spatial understanding. Our sensor of choice is the humble CMOS camera, which we combine with other commodity electronics, accelerometer, gyroscope, to provide a robust answer to 3 key spatial questions a robot faces. The first is, where is it as it moves through space? Second, where are the objects relative to that robot? And finally, what are the objects in the robot's environment? We call this spatial AI. And the vast majority of failures in robotics can be attributed to a discrepancy between what the robot thinks is the answer to these questions and what the reality is. But most companies don't have access to the quality spatial AI they need if they want to deliver high-performance robotics at a cost that makes sense. And I don't think that's fair. If we want to see a real revolution in robotics, we need as many players in the game as possible. And that's our mission. We're here to vastly increase the pool of companies who can deliver affordable, high-quality robotic solutions with Slamcore's technology at the heart of it. We've had a great year. We closed a $5 million seed funding round, but we've also packaged up our technology into our first product. Slamcore Position has all of the hardware and software a robot requires to answer that first question, where is it as it moves through space? It can be used on its own, or it can be used to enhance the performance of other sensors, such as wheel odometry, GPS, or LiDAR systems. Through 2019, we'll be providing this to beta customers and doing proof of concept studies. We also will be demonstrating our next generation products, which will answer the second and third question, all within the same spatial AI framework, all building on top of each other. If you'd like to learn more, please contact me anytime. We'd love to work with more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a quick announcement. If you're the owner of a white Tesla Model X and left it with valet, valet needs the code in order to park it properly. So please go down and see the valet. Next up, we have Matt of Bear Conductive. Matt rode his motorcycle all around the world solo. All right, Bear Conductive.
Thank you very much. Hello. So what if making a building or a space smart was as easy as applying a coating? I'm Matt, I'm the CEO of Bear Conductive, and that's what we do. We combine the scalability of industrial coatings with high-resolution sensor hardware and smart software. Basically, what we can do is transform any surface or substrate into a smart surface. So the way that we do that is by generating an electric field above the coating and then very precisely measuring that field. That allows us to detect targets as small as an insect to as big as a person from up to 1 meter away. We produce really high-resolution movement and presence data about those targets, and we do all of that with a technology stack of materials, hardware, and software. Our vision for our technology is that it should be in smart buildings. We should be including our technology in the manufacture of construction materials. Basically, we should be making buildings smart as we build them. That's a long way away, but we're going to get there through retrofitted applications in building automation. So we've analyzed hundreds of potential use cases for the technology, and we think that there are 3 that are really compelling in the short term: occupancy, water leaks, and lighting interfaces that are integrated directly into building products. We see that there's a great potential in healthcare and security as well. So why smart buildings? Well, it's a large and aggressively growing market. There are numerous applications for our intelligent coatings in that market, but probably most importantly, we have a number of technically self-reinforcing advantages when we use the technology here. I'd love to explain more about that to you later. But more importantly, why are our current customers choosing our technology? Well, again, it's about straightforward advantages. We're able to optimize between cost and resolution in a way that a lot of technologies cannot. We provide a fundamentally anonymous data stream, so we alleviate privacy concerns. And most importantly, because we're using a coating, we unlock a real design freedom when people want to integrate our solution into their products. These advantages have led to a lot of successful POCs with industry-leading partners. We have development contracts and agreed licensing terms with them as well. The last few months at Plug and Play have been incredible for us. We have a number of POCs lined out for the beginning of next year, and in fact, we've already started prototyping new products with DuPont, which we're very, very excited about. So we've got a great team. We have strong revenue. We've got large-scale POCs, and we've got a protected technology. What we're looking for is more people to join us. We're interested in developing new strategic relationships. We're looking for new customers, and we're also looking for investors that are interested in smart buildings, deep tech, and sensors. So please come and find me later. I'm happy to show you a very quick demo. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you, Matt. Next up, we have Robotic Innovations, Bernard, and one other announcement I forgot to note is just do not forget to vote for the startups today. All right, Bernard.
Thanks, Jeremy. So we are an early-stage startup developing smart electronic skin for robots. So today, we are living in one of the most interesting times in history. We've witnessed the emergence of autonomous driving, of AI, of CRISPR gene editing. But when it comes to robotics, we are really far from the future that we thought we would be living in today. We don't have robots that can fill up our dishwashers today. We don't have robots that can take our trash out. And in warehouses, we still don't have robots that can pick and place objects in different boxes. And we are paying people billions of dollars to actually do that. But why is that? It's because of two reasons. The first reason is because the robots lack human-level intelligence, and the second reason is because they lack a sense of touch, and this is what we are addressing today. So how hard is it to grasp an object? This is the Google robotic arm farm. For a robotic arm to actually grasp an object, objects with similar shapes and sizes, roughly 60% of the time, it takes 800,000 trial grasps to do that. And these arms runs for months. And even when it succeeds in grasping an object, this is not what you and I would call a success. My one-year-old nephew would do a better job at grasping these type of objects. So what's the discrepancy in this picture? So if you look at robotics, these robot systems rely mostly on vision systems, and they require large training data, and also they don't generalize to new tasks. So now if we take a step back and ask ourselves, why is it so easy for humans to grasp objects? And the answer is because of the human skin. It's due to 1 billion years of evolution. So at your fingertip, you have thousands of sensors that are constantly relaying information about pressure, texture, and temperature to your brain. And this is what enables humans to have a certain dexterity. Now, humans use what we call a multimodal approach. They use vision to be able to locate the object and to be able to map out the size and the size and position of the object. And then they use touch to be able to, and touch provides complementary information about contact forces, local shapes around contact points, texture, deformability, all of which enable an ongoing grasp, enables us to evaluate an ongoing grasp. So we at Robotic Innovations, we're actually developing what we call a smart electronic skin. This is an analog of the human skin. It's a little chip that contains tens of thousands of sensors that are constantly relaying information about pressure, texture, and temperature. It is one of the fundamental technological breakthroughs that will enable robots to have a certain level of dexterity. So with these kinds of breakthroughs, robots will be as ubiquitous as cell phones, and also will increase their usefulness. So this is not with this kind of technology that we are developing, it only needs low training data, and with this little chip, we're actually getting feedback, and with feedback, we are able to generalize tasks. This chip can lead to very high generalization. So this is not an incremental technology platform. We are really solving the holy grail of robotics. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. So in addition to being president of Dispel, Anne is also an amateur children's storyteller.
Now that time it's true. Hi everyone, my name is Ian. I am the president and CFO of Dispel. We are a cyber defense firm based on the East Coast of the United States. We have 43 employees, and thanks in part to some of the people in this room, we've been making over $1 million a month of late. This is the heritage of our lead engineers. These are the most important standards and frameworks that we follow. My point in showing you this is simply that we're real. I am here because, for lack of an alternative option, cybersecurity has long been an exercise in building castles and, over time, adding additional walls and improving the ones you already have. The problem with castles is that they are really easy to find and they do not move. So unless you are constantly improving your walls, an attacker will be able to find you, analyze you, work the problem, and punch a hole through. The solution in the physical world was to stop building castles and start putting the things you cared about into vehicles and moving them around. This strategy is called moving target defense, and Dispel holds the patents on being able to automatically build and maintain moving target defenses at a network level. So why is that at all relevant to you? Well, because this is your world. You care about taking care of your point A and point B. You have devices in the field, you want to protect them, and you have systems that are accessing those devices, and you want to protect those too. The solution that most firms have been offering has been to say, well, A and B talk to one another, we're going to encrypt it. And you know, we'll be very clever. We're going to add a certificate that's unique to each one of these devices. The problem is, as an attacker, no one cares about this communication. They care about finding A or B and then launching an attack directly against it. And when you're in the IoT world, it doesn't look like this. It actually looks like this. So it's really easy to find the asset of value if you're just doing regular old castle-based encryption. What do we do that's different? Well, first, we do crypto better than most. We use Cascade-ciphered independent crypto libraries with independent keys. But what we also do is add in a moving target defense layer. So A and B are kept separate. The result is, one, your IoT security staff will be very happy with you. But two, people are actually buying us because we have to be extremely good at large-scale network management. We have a couple of customers right now who are managing over 1,000 networks simultaneously each with support teams of one person. We also let you be globally performant, pushing out that compute to exactly where your customers have decided to take their devices. And we embed in geographic resiliency. So the next time one of your data centers catches fire, it's not going to knock your entire system out for a week. Now, where do you use this? Every institution is different. I know that. But let's look at what companies are already buying us for. They're using us to support the widespread, secure rollout of their swarms. They're using us to sustain legacy systems that have indefinite lifespans. They're using us to secure and simplify remote access to ICS and SCADA systems. They're using us to conduct rapid prototyping. And they're using us to support their threat intel and red teams. So if any of that is of interest to you, please come talk to us. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And next up, we have Kirsten of Streammetric.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kerstin Niederle. I'm one co-founder of Streammetric, and we make water treatment more efficient. Water is one of the most important resources for human development. But the way we are using it today may lead to water being treated as a commodity in the future. Almost 60% of our water is used for industrial consumption. And governments are increasingly regulating the use of water. Means lots of industries today have to have proper water treatment systems in place. You should know that membrane technologies account for more than 40% share in water and wastewater treatment systems. And this equipment market is projected to grow to over 33 billion in the next 4 years. So how does this market operate? First, we have the system integrator who designs and builds the water treatment system, hands it over to the end user, like the cheese manufacturer, who has to operate it throughout the lifetime, but who has no deep understanding about membrane technology. So consequently, the operational cost, chemical usage, energy costs are too high, and in the end, the $400,000 membrane fails after only 1 year. The two end up in a fight about warranty just because the membranes was not operated properly. At Streammetric, we address the need for a smarter water management that, in our example, could have saved more than $90,000 a year. We develop a data-driven SaaS platform that provides transparency and early recommendations to help the system integrators run the systems more reliably. So therefore, we need real-time monitoring, giving remote access 24/7. But you as a system integrator don't want to be informed only when a problem already occurred. And that's why we want to provide a predictive maintenance tool to avoid downtimes by giving you notifications before something goes into a wrong direction. Our goal is to bring the system integrator and the engineer intelligence to the same platform to create a global knowledge base. And we use machine learning to reduce your operational costs and keep your system healthy. Our focus is on industries such as pharma, food and beverage, wherever water consumption is a major part of operations. And our solution is used by system integrators, operators, but also membrane manufacturers. This is our team. We come from 5 different professional backgrounds and countries, and we have a very experienced advisory board that always supports us. We have started our business in July this year and are currently working on finishing 5 pilots by the end of this month. We have partnerships with Mannenhummel and Microdinadia, who helped us raise $250,000. So we are at pre-seed stage, and today looking for more pilot opportunities and partnerships. So if you're interested, talk to us. We have prototypes we can show you here today, and visit our website. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Wilker of Snap Support.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Wilker Ambuken, co-founder at Snap Support. So we are a smart remote assistance platform for your service engineers or field technicians powered by mobile and IoT. So before we get into Snap Support, let me talk about the evolution of machines. We all know the past couple decades, instruments, equipments, machines, they've come a long way in sophistication and complication. However, the tools the poor field engineers use, it's still the old phone call, which is very painful, so much so that every unplanned downtime costs companies 4 hours and as much as $2 million in costs. So what can we do about it? Well, a couple things. One is empower the technician with the right information at the right time. Give them immediate assistance when they need it. Provide them training. And last but not the least, use the data that you have at your disposal to use predictive analytics algorithms to prevent the issue from happening in the first place. Well, Snap Support does all of that. We bring equipment IoT data. We bring your knowledge base together, use machine learning to provide you with level 1 chatbots. We also include collaboration tools like live chat, live video, Google Glass, to allow your technician to connect to the expert to resolve issues quickly. Quite an interesting space. So my co-founder is in the instrument equipment vertical, so we started there, but we found out soon enough that a lot of other verticals are very interested in the technology. Great market opportunity. It's a niche market, $4.5 billion. Equipment support and predictive analytics, we have some competition already in there. But if you look at the other fringe players, there's a lot of partnership opportunities there as well. We have great traction. We are paying customers. We made $48K in revenues the last 12 months. We have 5 POCs in progress. We raised a family and friends round of $170K last December, and we are looking to raise a seed round in the next couple months. So anybody who missed out on the earlier round can join us now. And we are looking at partnerships with Siemens and Google as well. We are also part of Unearth. It's a mining accelerator out of Australia. Cost of pizza, that's what we charge them. Team, we have a fantastic team. We have a great advisors. Chris Toney joined us recently. He's an ex-general manager services at Agilent. We started 2 years ago, and our first client just completed 1 year last month. So VP Field Services, anybody who have field technicians, those companies, please talk to us. And venture capitals, we are raising 1 million seed in the next couple months. So stop by our table and talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Rob of Autology. Right. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Rob Shaintaler, founder and CEO of Autology. We do smart operations, and I'll walk you through a little bit. My background is I spent 15 years in Big Six Consulting and then 10 years doing enterprise-grade supply chain software in the cloud, and brought all that together to start Autology. We've tried to kind of change how all that works. So we talk a lot about the Internet of Things. Many people probably flew here today. Last year, the airline industry had $26 billion of cost due to delays, which is about $1.27 per second, despite the fact that that airplane generates a half a terabyte of data every flight. Well, what's missing? When you think about it, the big problem that comes out of this is, oops, we're going backwards, sorry. All the stuff that goes on around the aircraft that causes delays. What about the people, the equipment, all the things that have to occur to turn an aircraft? And that's where Autology comes in. We complete the picture in various operations to provide a digital twin of everything going on in any sort of physical operation. How are we different? We've approached the problem back as opposed to technology out based on our experience. And if you really understand a lot of these operations, it's not just the machine failing unexpectedly that creates the problem. What about the people interacting with the machine? What about the materials needed to produce a product? All these things have to be monitored. So we've developed a platform that is able to digitize all three core elements of any physical operation without the need to train, interface, or do anything to the existing process before you can start going. We really help our VPs of operations understand what's happening and make it better. We do it all with a subscription-based solution where we come into any facility and without having to modify anything about it, drop in a complete turnkey solution, all subscription-based. We don't make hardware, but we provide it, all commodity stuff, put in our own cellular connection so we don't have to use the customer's network, transmit it all to the cloud, and produce analytics, all without interfacing to anything in the factory or in the operations or having to use our customers' networks. So we generate the big data for our customers so we can kind of make the VP of operations insanely great. We're currently working in manufacturing, yard management, dealing with trucking facilities, as well as working with airports doing ground operations. In every case, we're growing throughput, increasing efficiency, and reducing waste in the process, all with the same platform. Quick example, we monitor operations in a factory where people are doing milling. We've got $60 an hour workers with expensive equipment. The utilization is not low because the machine's broken. It's low because the person isn't in the place where they need to be to make it work. We gained this customer 7.5 points of utilization within a month of putting in the system, which is worth about $150,000 a year per mill. Here's an example of monitoring trucks going through a facility. Within 2 months, we reduced the average cycle time by 17% through this facility. In addition to manufacturing worker shortages, we actually have a more acute shortage of truckers. We need to gain efficiencies in the movement of vehicles if we're actually going to solve some of these huge problems. We also keep a track of the fact that people that use our solution don't sit at keyboards. And we have ways to get the information in front of the operators and supervisors so they can use this information while they do their job to make immediate impacts, again, without any need for training. We're about 2 years old. We've got 15 customers, actually closed 2 more since we put this together last week. And we've also really created a unique sales cycle. It's a 3-call close. As opposed to handling objections, we've just designed them out of the process. As long as people are willing to pay a little bit of money and provide some electricity, we do everything else. And so people can move very, very fast, including large companies. As a company, we value our land and expand model. We always start with a paid trial with a small footprint. People see it working in their facility. Converts to an annual subscription right away, and then they can always add more. Eventually, we're digitizing entire facilities so they can track everything that's happening, and then we add more capabilities on top of that. We can start in one facility and then go to others as well. Customers come to us and ask us to do more. We don't need to sell more. Very sticky, and we have a very defensible data set given the imagery and telemetry that we collect from all of our operations. Very experienced team, not a bunch of kids out of school. Most of us had large operations backgrounds and then brought it to bear to do smart operations completely differently than anybody else out there. Bunch of different relationships that have really helped us fuel our growth, including Plug and Play, which we've been enjoying our partnership with. And that's a quick summary of our investment proposition. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Great. Next, we have Riaz of Rescale. In addition to being at Rescale, he also enjoys blogging about lifestyle and mindfulness.
Hi everyone, my name is Riaz Liaquat, and today I'm going to talk about Rescale. I'm responsible for the solutions engineering at Rescale, and today we want to talk about how Rescale helps to accelerate product development by providing unlimited access to high-performance computing. To understand what Rescale is, let me give you a brief background so that you can understand where we are coming from. So if you look at the product development process, historically, the way things have been working, and this applies to any industry, right? So if you want to create a product, let's say in the automotive sector, the typical phases would be first you would have sketches, you would have designs, and then based on those initial prototype designs, you would create prototype vehicles. And this process would be an iterative process, right? And this could take anywhere from a few months to a few years. And it's also it's very expensive. What has been happening in the past few years is people have been using virtual prototyping or simulation. So what do I mean by that? Instead of actually building products they'd create virtual models where they would test out the different physics, right? For example, one big topic that we discuss nowadays is autonomous vehicles. And if you want to make a car autonomous, you have to design a lot of sensors, right? It starts with radar, LiDAR, and a bunch of other sensors working together. So how do you ensure that all of these sensors are working well by themselves as well as in an environment? So for this, you would use different types of simulation tools, which helps to predict the performance ahead of time, right? And this is how the industry has been designing products today. What is the problem here today is some of these designs have become very complex, so the time taken to run all these simulations could go from a few hours to even like 10,000 hours, right? So the innovation is happening at a breakneck speed, but the bottleneck has been the compute power, which has not been able to keep up. So people have been mainly relying on on-premise high-performance computing systems today. The problem with these systems is if you buy a hardware, it gets outdated in a few months, and also like the demand is, it has a fixed capacity, right? There is no ability to scale. So what Rescale is providing as a solution is we provide a single SaaS platform where we configure different types of applications, right? We have close to 300 applications, which is used in a wide variety of industries like semiconductors, oil and gas. So people could use any application, and then they could use their cloud service of choice, right? It could be AWS, Azure, IBM. Based on our experience, we ensure that both the software and the hardware is optimized so to take full advantage and ensure that your simulation runs in a fast fashion. So today, Rescale is a Series B company, and we have close to 125 customers. So one of our biggest customers is Boeing, who actually use our platform to develop their 747, right? And using the high-performance computing power, they were able to reduce the development cycle from 3 months to 24 hours. So this is just an example to show that with compute power, how you can speed up innovation. So the company at a glance, so we are going after a $28 billion market. We have close to $50 million in funding so far. And our company is headquartered in San Francisco. We have prominent investors, Richard Branson, Peter Thiel, and we have close to 125 paying customers. We're always looking for partners to collaborate, to run POCs, as well as expand the footprint. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mohammed of VL Income.
Good afternoon. I'm Mohammed, and we are VL Income, transforming wireless networking using light. So we all know Wi-Fi. It's great, but sometimes we hate it because of the issues it has. You all have experienced what happens when so many people try to connect to the same Wi-Fi network. The connection becomes crawling slow, limiting and causing issue for you to even access to your email. Now imagine in the next few years how congested the Wi-Fi networks would be with the dramatic growth in the number of connected devices. There are also huge security and interference issues which cause concerns at the hospitals, on the plane, industrial areas, and many other applications. All of these are because of the issues that radio frequency have, and it's because of the nature of the radio frequency. Our solution is Li-Fi, using light to transfer data. It's much more secure than Wi-Fi because light can be easily contained. It also has 40 times larger capacity because we can turn any light into an access point at a very low cost. Interference is not a concern when you transfer data over light. Indoor positioning is the next holy grail. And with 1 inch of accuracy, Li-Fi is ideally suited for this application. Now, we have managed to harness over 10 years of research and turn it into a hardware product that is being used by our customers, including Department of Defense. Now we're building a rich set of software services around our hardware infrastructure. We are one of the few companies that has this technology, and our products outperforms every single competitor. We are the only one that has retrofittable technology that enables us to turn any light into a Wi-Fi access point. Whether it's a ceiling light in an office or a headlamp of a car, we can turn it into an access point. The opportunities for this technology is huge. From enterprise to defense and industrial to automotive, all can benefit from the advantages of this technology. And our solution is going to be used in a wide range of products, including connected cars, IoT devices, and consumer products. Now we are in the middle of fundraising. We're raising $4 million. And at the same time, we are also looking for strategic partners, corporates, who can help us to expand to different markets. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have Rusty of Ubiquitous. Rusty was named after the famous baseball player Rusty Staub.
As you can tell, I'm not a famous baseball player. Hi, I'm Rusty with Ubiquitous. We're a full stack for building edge node IoT devices. What's an edge node IoT device? It's some of the stuff you've heard about today. It's the connected light bulbs. It's the sensors you put on things. It's the connected saw. And to do that, you need software to make those devices wirelessly connect back. Common misconception is we use wireless technology all day long, so putting them in these devices should be child's play, should be simple. Well, unfortunately, it's not. This is the life of an engineer if your job is to go put this technology together. Right now, if you want to add Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular, or a common wireless technology into a device, you're almost 60% likely to be late on your project delivery. And 55% of the time, you will miss your product deliverables because this technology is very complex and very hard to put together. It's also a very lengthy process to do. It'll take you about a year to build and deploy that device. Ubiquitous solves this problem. We've built a library of over 250,000 lines of code for engineers to simply, quickly build products. They come in, choose their feature set, and quickly can implement these devices. We can have a major impact on time to market and on total cost of ownership of the device. We do this through a software subscription. So as a product company, you receive not just software, you receive patches and updates over time, thereby focusing your engineers on what your core competency is, not having to worry about how Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or cellular standards change. So we're getting excellent traction in the market. We've got a number of key customers and partners out there using our product. You can see people like Qualcomm, NXP, Microchip, ON Semiconductor all utilize Ubiquitous for solutions and are taking our solution into their key tier 1 customers to help solve problems. I'm lucky, I'm flanked by an excellent team. I've got 2 PhDs running the tech development, one which is a former chip designer for CSR and Samsung and holds over 9 patents in the wireless space. So we're Ubiquitous. We can directly impact and save a product company hundreds of thousands of dollars at product development time and over the life of the product, another $1 million or more. We let the product company focus on what you do best. If you're a product company and interested in building connected devices, come see us later. I'm in the process of closing out a round. If you're an investor, might like to talk to you too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rusty. Next up, we have Osama, Monolets. Where's the green one and point in that direction?
Hello, everyone. My name is Osama Khan. I'm the founder and CEO of Monolets. And at Monolets, we are enabling cryptographically secure data warehouse at scale. And we all know, we all have heard the data is the new oil, but how do we extract this data? If we lower the cost of extracting this data to a point where it becomes economically viable, then it will unlock this new source of data, which is high volume and conservatively estimated to be 600 terabytes per minute from these edge devices. And there's going to be a new source of data, and new services are going to be built on top of it. And what's driving this is the evolution of computing, which is shown here in this slide. And if you follow this trend, we are literally entering into an era where computing, sensing, and communication is essentially becoming disposable. And that's very powerful because that will enable the next level of scale, which is billions and trillions of these devices. Having a secure embedded wireless connectivity is the need of every vertical that we can think of today. But we are currently focusing on retail, healthcare, and logistics space. I'm going to skip the use cases slide. But on this slide, this shows the current state-of-the-art wireless connectivity. On the y-axis is the active power consumption, and on the x-axis, the unit price on the graph on the left. Wi-Fi consumes hundreds of milliwatts of power and costs tens of dollars. BLE in 15.4 consumes tens of milliwatts of power, and the module you can buy today for $3 to $5. RFID is passive tag, is very low cost, tens of cents. But the problem with RFID is you need to deploy expensive reader infrastructure to collect the data in real time. What Monolith is bringing to the table is standards-compliant wireless communication, BLE in 15.4, at the price point of RFID. So we lower the cost, tens of cents, to enable the scale. We also simultaneously improve the energy efficiency by a factor of 10. So that allows us to collect data in real time. And since we are standards-compliant, so we can scale the network using commodity infrastructure, for example, off-the-shelf gateways or $5 Raspberry Pi gateways. I want to emphasize on the battery life here is if you send one wireless packet every second, we're going to last for a quarter on an 8 milliamp hour battery, which is shown here. If we send a packet every 2 seconds, 6 months, 4 seconds, 1 year. And what we envision here is a state-of-the-art wireless module shown on the left, which is from a Dialog Semiconductor. It has several dozen external components, including a printed antenna and a power source that goes in the back. With our wireless chip, we get rid of all these external components to reduce the BOM cost. With our wireless SoC, you need only 3 external components. One is a printed antenna that's limited by physics, an external sensor that depends on the use case and application, and a power source. With this wireless module, we can provide always-on cloud connectivity. We can make it batteryless and disposable. It has unique digital identity. We support IPv6 connectivity. We can provide data provenance. We can tell you where things are in real time. And the data is end-to-end encrypted. And then you can imagine, once you have this data pipeline, which is bringing the data cryptographically from the physical space into the cloud, you can build new services on top of it. This is what we are envisioning. We have devices in the physical space, and they are mobile. So we create a dynamic wireless mesh. We manage this network. And these devices are connected to the smart gateways, and then eventually streaming data in real time into the cloud infrastructure. And we provide that as a service to our customers. We have been developing this technology for 3.5 years at UC Berkeley. We have done 3 generations of chip designs. All of our key ideas are already proven in silicon. And we are currently doing a paid pilot with one Fortune 500 company with our 3rd generation wireless chip. This slide shows our team, and we are very fortunate. There are a very handful of teams in the world who can execute this project like this. And we are very fortunate to be one of them. As a team, we have a combined experience of 40+ years to develop energy-efficient wireless systems. We are raising $3 million seed round to reach the next milestone. And I will be around if you have any questions. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Osama. Now we have Patrick of EmoShape.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. At EmoShape, we created the first emotion chip, a plug-and-play technology to deliver emotion synthesis in intelligent machines.
The most innovative aspect of EmoShape's microcontroller breakthrough is its real-time appraisal computation, allowing the AI or robot to experience 64 trillion possible distinct emotional states every 1/10 of a second. The groundbreaking EPU algorithms effectively enable machines to respond to stimuli in line with 12 primary emotions: sadness, anger, fear, disgust, desire, and joy, indifference, regret, surprise, anticipation, trust, confidence. The EPU removes the need to script, animate, or motion capture virtual actors. I'm Rachel, EmoShape's AI. Powered by EmoShape's flagship emotion processing unit, I'm capable of emotional reasoning and synthesis by wave computing. I understand the meaning in the language and express myself in real time without visual effects or post-production. I could be the face of your AI in the future, living in your phone or your television, or even appearing as the next superstar actress in real-time movies. EmoShape is bringing AI one step closer to sentient machines.
But the real beauty of that chip is that the chip, when it's inserted in a product, continues to learn. And it can remember its emotional states and develop a persona that is the result of the interaction with the user, making the product unique. So we can implement this chip and make all these products sentient, from IoT products, games, or car. When in the future you will share the ownership of your car or use robot taxi, automaker will need to deliver a very customized user experience. And the capability to load a sentient hostess in your car that will know you and follow your family with you over different devices will make the difference. So this is why probably we become a Gartner Cool Vendor in 2018, because they understand that the EPU is the next step. It will bring fast thinking and sentient capabilities to artificial intelligence. EmoShape has been created in New York, and we are today already working with our clients to deliver the product of the futures. And we are really proud also to say that we are bringing the cloud solutions to the EPU. So the EPU will be virtualized in the cloud, and we will offer to our client the capability to deliver this service through the cloud, which is easy to deploy, or through a chip that is secure and cost-effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have John of MEM Computing.
Hi, I'm John Bean. I'm the CEO and founder of MEM Computing. We have a technology that can enable virtually any computer to perform at the level of a supercomputer or quantum computer. This may sound hard to believe, but let me share with you the proof. The San Diego Supercomputer Center did an evaluation of our technology against a benchmark that was set up for their best supercomputer, where it would have taken beyond the age of the universe to solve the problem. With MEM Computing, we solved that problem in an hour and a half on an off-the-shelf PC that costs $17,000. UC San Diego evaluated our technology against a quantum computing benchmark, where we were as fast as the quantum computer, but our solution was more accurate. That quantum computer cost $15 million. And again, we solved this on a $17,000 PC. The Zeus Institute of Berlin presented us with a problem that's been on their website since 2010 and has been unsolved. Although many have tried, no one has succeeded until now. MEM Computing solved that problem in 60 seconds. We're also working with industry. The Port of Singapore presented us with a problem that was taking them over 70 hours to compute today. With our $17,000 PC, we showed them that we could solve it in an hour. But by adding a few GPUs, we could solve that problem in less than a second. Canvas Labs is another company who presented us with an analytics problem. In that case, their problem was taking them over 10 minutes to solve. With MEM Computing, they're now able to solve that problem in single-digit milliseconds. We're talking 5 orders of magnitude faster than they were able to do on their own, and that was on a PC, on a laptop. Now, you may be wondering about the science behind MEM Computing. The math is pretty deep. I'll see if I can walk you through it. First, you start by taking the integral of a quadratic function, and then, well, honestly, I'll save you from the rest of that. We don't have time with that right now. However, trust me, this technology is foolproof. It was invented by two theoretical physicists out of UC San Diego, Drs. Fabio Traversa and Max Deventra. Together, we form MEM Computing. My background is as a serial entrepreneur. My companies have returned more than $1.5 billion to investors. We're going to market with software, but we also have a professional services team to help you solve problems you may find unsolvable today. So if you have problems, computational problems that are taking you hours, days, or weeks to solve, and you'd like to solve them in minutes or seconds, please give us a chance to show you what MEM Computing can do for you. If we can't solve it, there's no charge to you at all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Bean. This is MEM Computing. I hope you'll see me after the presentations.
Thank you, John. Next up, we have Jeff of SensorUp.
My name's Jeff Mayer, and I'm the CEO of SensorUp. I'd like to start with a short introductory video from our founder, Steve Lang.
Sensors are always better when they are together. SensorUp is a NATO award-winning IoT cloud platform for geospatial that aggregates disparate IoT systems and transform them into actionable insights. We author the key international IoT standards for the United Nations and Open Geospatial Consortium. Our clients are asset-intensive, geographically distributed industrial operations. They want real-time visibility, historical asset performance, and early warnings before emergencies or service interruptions happen. The Department of Homeland Security uses our technology for their next-generation first responders program. We offer real-time visibility and early warnings across emergency response groups to save lives. Our supply chain and logistics customers use our platform to provide real-time visibility for their moving shipments across North America. We allow them to identify previously unknown inefficiencies and monetize the data they collect. Every organization needs real-time visibility, early warnings, and better situational awareness. Stop building IoT silos. Let SensorUp help.
SensorUp is the leading software for the accurate and timely reporting of geospatial data. It allows our customers to aggregate and coordinate data from multiple sensor networks, disparate sensor types, legacy data systems and data lakes, and enrichment data like traffic and weather, and coordinate it all into one rich data set. Our development software allows our customers, our sensor partners, and ourselves to easily create connectors for any device without having to make modifications to hardware or firmware. And then once the data is in our system, it allows us to trigger real-time notifications and alerts based on business rules, display detailed geospatial visualizations for our customers, and provide AI-ready data for use by customers and partners. The result is that our customers in first responders, smart cities, and industrial have better real-time situational awareness, enhanced operational visibility, and AI-ready data that they can use themselves or monetize with their customers. Steve Lang, our founder, authored the key IoT data standard that's being adopted by the United Nations, by NATO, and the European Union. Our software is the reference software for that standard. I left a super cushy job with a top-tier Canadian VC because I saw the opportunity to work with a true visionary in the IoT space. I also saw the potential that SensorUp has to revolutionize geospatial for IoT. That potential has allowed us to assemble a world-class management team with deep experience in successful startups. We raised a Series Seed in March. We're in the process of raising a Series A today to accelerate our growth in 2019. If you'd like to speak to us about an IoT project you have or the potential to invest in the company, please come speak to me after my presentation and join us on the SensorUp journey.
Thank you. And now we have Julian of Opal AI.
At Opal, we use AI to build AI. But before we get into that, I want you to imagine, and when you do, I want you to go back to that golden age when you were a little kid and anything was impossible. Anything was possible. You wanted to be a firefighter, an astronaut, a superhero. Well, AI truly is in the same place right now. It's at its inception. We don't know what is actually possible with AI because we haven't tried it or we're fearful of trying it. The Wright brothers imagined flight. They were told it was impossible, but what did they do? They went out and they became engineers, designers, pilots, and ultimately made that imagination a reality. They were the data scientists of their time. But just like the rest of these amazing technical revolutions, they did not take off. They did not transform society or change the way we operate our businesses until they were three things. And those three things are easy, cheap, and ubiquitous. And I think we can all agree that AI right now is none of those. In fact, it's highly complex. I don't know how many of you, I don't know how many of you have played Fortnite, but the first thing that happens is you run into a brick wall. Well, trying to get AI working inside of your company is kind of like that experience. Where is the data that I need? How do I get access to it? Where do I get the permissions? Who do I need to hire? Do I need a PhD data scientist? How do I evaluate whether they're actually up to the task? How do I get that model into production? How do I evaluate its success, its progress it's delivering to us? I'm getting anxiety just looking at this slide, but I want everyone to take a nice deep breath because Opal empowers you to break through that wall. And the way Opal does that is by accelerating your idea into production by a minimum of 10x. And some of our customers are experiencing 30x accelerations, 40x accelerations. So the idea comes from the C-suite or maybe a head of product. Then that person on your team that's in charge of actually making that imagination a reality, that might be the data scientist. It may even be an analyst or maybe a business or a product domain expert. Well, now with Opal, using our proprietary technology or our AI that we call behavioral assimilation, they can actually build and deploy production-grade AI models in as little as minutes, hours, or a day or two. And what behavioral assimilation is doing is it's modeling the behavior, but most importantly, the intuition of the world's top data scientists, enabling all of those different people I described, regardless of technical acumen, to deliver to the company, and enabling those PhD data scientists to become much more productive. And then finally, since we're talking about IoT, our software will put that model into production for you in the form of a very lightweight, highly performant model that can be deployed on the edge or maybe on a phone. So we're looking at a quick demo here. We're going to upload a training set. This is supervised learning. You can upload a validation set if you like. Here we're on the validation page where we're going to maybe change a couple things, change the target, maybe ignore something. We name the model. We set the runtime to 20 minutes to try our idea, see if it's provable. We set the type of problem, the measure of success, which is accuracy. Behavioral assimilation or BASE starts doing massive benchmarking, building hundreds and hundreds of models with each algorithm, learning from the peaks and valleys of performance, selecting the best performing iterations of those algorithms and putting them into this model that is available for deployment, accessible via RESTful API. You can do a test prediction. And then if you like it, you can copy and paste that code right into your environment and you're off and running. But it doesn't stop there. We have metrics, so the data scientists in the room can actually see things like a confusion matrix. They can look at false positive versus true positive, precision recall curves. And then we have feature importance. How is the model making its decision? If you're in a regulated industry, this is very important. It also enables the people that build these models to explain how they work and have confidence in them. So we've opened up that black box. So for you C-level folks in the room, that next, or maybe a product leader, that next idea that when you go talk to your machine learning group or your data science group and they tell you that's a fantasy, there's no way we can do it, if you have Opal, they no longer have an excuse. For the data science leaders in the room, right now you're limited to how many business units inside of your company you can serve. With Opal, you can open that team up to every business unit in the company. And for the data scientists in the room, you can now do things you never thought possible. So it's time to take those ideas you have and use Opal to capitalize on them. I'll just close by saying that I imagined being a pirate when I grew up. I'm very proud, actually, to be part of continuing the legacy of the Pirates of Silicon Valley. But I want to point out that this is all about just trying AI and not limiting yourself. Make sure imagination becomes your only limiter, not the technical acumen of your team. We have a booth out there. We'd love to talk to you about the specific challenges you're facing and demonstrate to you how Opal can bring those to fruition. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's give all of our companies another round of applause. So we'll be kicking off the real estate and construction tech vertical shortly. We're going to play a video right now, so if you'd like to stand up and stretch your legs, now's the time to do so. And then we'll start with the next vertical. Thank you.
Hello, Paris. It's great to be here, and we're excited to launch our Smart City initiative here in Station F. Today we've seen an incomparable number of corporate attendees and startups that bring the whole ecosystem together.
So the idea of the Smart City platform is to bring along players across the value chain, for them not to just work with startups, but to collaborate and find new ways to partner between each other.
My name is Mahat Chaba. I'm Chief Innovation Officer for GE Power Digital Solutions at General Electric, and I have like a global role. Really great event that's good we did here at the Station F. It's a network that bringing the startups, bringing the corporates, possible investors all together. And I think all the technologies you have selected to be presented in the smart cities, where we have like 80 billion investments today, are good. They are really related to the topic, and I'm sure you will find a lot of interest from corporates and investors.
Today's event was great. We got to start with some keynotes and panel discussion around smart city themes, what really resonates with some of the corporate partners, and then dive into some specific use cases that startups were bringing, whether it's related to IoT devices, smart buildings, or AI for smart cities. What we like about Plug and Play is first its brand and its international presence. We have operations around the globe in North America, and Europe, and Asia, and we're looking for the opportunity to really connect those ecosystems, and we think Plug and Play can help us do that.
I'm International Sales Manager for the Parallel. We're a virtual reality company focused on big off-plan developments. So that's anything from around 100 homes to 1,000 plus, even whole cities. For us, the most important thing is make sure that we put in front of the right people, and actually the people who can actually make decisions, so decision makers and actually people of influence, and also big organizations. So your actual project now in the smart cities is actually hugely interesting to us.
It's always a great opportunity to be part of Plug and Play's events all over the globe, and I really appreciate the invitation. So for us as Aachen Grundvermögen, we engaged with Plug and Play almost 2 years ago, and for us it's been a very great journey. So we had the opportunity to engage with innovation much deeper than we ever thought, and due to the service we provide, the startups that you present to us, we actually went a step further than we ever thought. We set up our own subsidiary to invest in startups, a corporate venture fund, and a company builder. So it's been great for us, and we're looking forward to continue the very fruitful work that you do.
Plug and Play is a great international network of really innovative companies. As we focus really on sourcing innovative solutions across the planet, I think Plug and Play is definitely one of the best networks out there.
Even though we came from different companies and different startups, I think the overarching goal is to create a connected, more sustainable and integrated city.
So if I could please have everyone quiet down. We'd like to invite to the stage Curtis Feeney. Curtis Feeney is a managing director at Silicon Valley Capital. He's also the longest standing board member at CBRE. And we're more than excited to have him here this afternoon to give us our opening keynote speak. So without any further ado, can we please put your hands together for Curtis Feeney and for our keynote speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Curtis. Thanks, Miles. Thank you. And thank you, Miles. And Plug and Play, as you can tell, Plug and Play does a great job building and feeding the ecosystem here in the Valley, and happy to be a part of it. It's interesting because real estate, which I'm going to talk about here for a little bit, is one of the biggest industries in the world, but judging by the IoT turnout, it's soon going to be eclipsed by IoT possibly. I would say, with my background, having served on the board of the biggest real estate services company for 12 years, and also having 18 years of investing in early stage enterprise software, I've thought a lot about why do we not see more tech coming into real estate, and what are some of the impediments, what are the opportunities, and what's the timing now? Because it seems to be the last few years, as I'll talk about, quite a few more investors coming into the space, quite a few more companies therefore getting funded, and now we're all watching very carefully how the WeWorks and the Airbnbs of the world and all those turn out. So just a little stats for the size of the industry. The U.S. housing market total asset value is estimated to be $32 trillion. The global revenues coming off of commercial office buildings is $6 to $7 trillion. And if you just look at the U.S. market, when you're talking trillions, the asset base here that real estate represents is so big that it's real logical to think there's got to be some economic opportunities bringing technology into what is a pretty fuddy-duddy industry. If you look at verticals that adopt technology, real estate's down near the bottom. And I'll make some comparisons to some of the other verticals and industries that are in that same boat. But it's fundamental that when somebody's involved in the real estate industry, the main drivers just aren't technology. It's a long-lived asset. So the asset is passive, it's immovable, it lasts 50 years, and so it doesn't really play well in the high volatility, high change rate technology space compared to other, like financial services, which is very transactional, insurance, which is very transactional, and the information value has been opaque and probably undervalued by a lot of people. So there's fundamental reasons why real estate's kind of a hard granite wall to break through on bringing technology in. The demographics have worked against it, and that's true in healthcare and education as well. The average ages of real estate decision makers have been sort of pre-internet types, which make it less likely they're going to adopt technology and change their ways. And real estate owners tend to think of, because the industry works this way, I'm going to pay you a cost plus, not value add. So that makes it harder for technology companies to get the kind of returns investors need when they invest in technology. Technology investors are looking for 50% plus gross margins and 50% plus long-term annual growth rates as the companies are small and growing. So those, because the adoption rate's slow, because the margins are hard to sustain, it's been hard to find the sort of seams, particularly on commercial real estate, to get the kind of growth that venture capitalists and tech investors are looking for. Now, as far as CBRE, this is a $20 billion revenue business that spends $500 million a year on its own IT. And that's across the compute and communication and networking systems that the company has, Oracle, Workday, PeopleSoft, these type of solutions. But it also is one of the bigger acquisition companies as far as buying technology. They just bought a company called Facility Source for $300 million, which was not a huge payout because it was already a $300 million revenue business. If you were a tech company doing $300 million and you had the kind of margins and growth that tech companies have, you would likely have been 10 times that value. So the reason it was a lower value, this is a services-oriented, tech-enabled company that started as a pure tech company, found out that it couldn't get the growth rates in real estate without adding the services, so it had to add a ton of services, made a nice business, but sold for a 1x multiple of revenues instead of 5 to 10 times. They also bought Floored, which was a company announced 2 or 3 years ago. This was a very sophisticated 3D visualization company that could very quickly take CAD drawings, convert them into almost AR, VR quality visualizations of office space. Very strong technical team out of New York, really best in class. They bought it for 40 or 50 million bucks. So I think the numbers were public, and that again was not a big number compared to tech exits, because it basically paid out the investors 1x their money back. Why did they sell? Just to get their money back? Couldn't get the growth rate. And again, it's a problem you see in real estate and real estate tech, and there are exceptions which we'll talk about, but it is often hard to find the really must-have solution driving technology in real estate, and I'll talk about why that is. And then there's other companies that are very well positioned, and I'll just name them to make sure you know I've heard of them. CoStar has got a lot of information. The information play in real estate is yet to be fully realized. So I think there's some big opportunity with AI and bots and ML to really move us into a next generation of real estate information and data management. What buildings are available, what's the information on the buildings, what's the trades that have happened, what's the financing availability, all of the information needed to do any kind of real estate transaction. That is going to be valuable, and it hasn't. CoStar has done a very good job, but it's such a fragmented industry, and the information is so spread out. Well, I think we're going to find a lot of opportunities in that realm. Now, the good news is there's nobody in real estate going to solve these problems. It's because they're really concerned about having the buildings be functional, financed, and occupied. So the drivers in real estate are, what's the supply in the market of real estate competition? What's the demand in the market to fill up the building? What's the cost of the building? What's the cost of debt? So supply and demand drive the rental rates, and then the interest rates and cost of building kind of give you your net return. And that's, when you look at all of the real estate industry, it's hard to get anybody off of those 4 drivers to what technology can enable. My son runs a little company called BuildPulse that just merged with Coppertree. They're one of the biggest energy management systems companies and they're part of the real estate cohort here at Plug and Play. And they have hundreds of millions of square feet of building under their energy management systems. And they only have a few million in revenues, and they grow very slow. So it just, again, is hard to find a way that you can take a technology, find it to be so compelling that everybody needs to adopt it. And when you have that challenge, it's sort of a door-knocking problem. You have to go to every single building owners and REIT and so on and individually close deals. And the fact that Prologis buys some technology doesn't put any pressure on Brookfield or Blackstone or anyone else, or Amazon occupiers or building owners to buy the same technology. So this lack of sort of compelling competitive reason to buy is a hurdle that is often stumbled upon. The other industries that I think are most like this are, and this is a little bit negative, healthcare, education, and government. So you, as an investor, you shy away from this sort of technology, again, granite barriers of going into those large, mature, incumbent industries, because it's very hard to break through the inertia of how they behave now and why they should adopt your technology. I like to think of these big, mature industries, real estate, healthcare, government, education, like being they have a unique DNA. The industry has its own genetic profile, and it really is like a 350-year-old oak tree. You can think that you're going to go in and take this big industry and revolutionize it with a technology like Uber did to taxi. But it just is more likely what's going to happen is the next year it's going to be a 351-year-old oak tree and have one more ring of growth. So if you look at what's going on in education and healthcare, you tend to find most of the breakthroughs are coming outside of the industries. What Khan Academy is doing, what Coursera and the MOOCs are doing, and then they actually get created outside of the oak tree, but then they come into its fold over time as they prove their value model. So I think real estate's timing is getting better. Some of the reasons that it's slow to adopt, I mentioned the 4 drivers are just not technology oriented. It's very fragmented. The long life cycle of the industry. It's good news that the new technology-enabled managers are now starting to take hold. And that is where I think the entry-level opportunities are. When you're selling a workflow solution to automate lease management like VTS does, or construction management like Kahua does, you go in at the entry point where you're selling to the end users that are more tech-enabled than the senior owners that they report up to. So that's one of the areas I see happening as we go forward. Another challenge looking at any technology investing is, can I bring a solution to my customers that increases their top line? So how do I help someone get faster occupancy, higher rents, more retention, something that has sustainability on their top line? That's where the most interesting returns are for enterprise investors. The next level down, you want operating expense reduction. Now, the problem with operating expense reduction is you can add a lot of value. It's just hard to get paid for it in real estate, like I mentioned earlier. So if you can bring in a solution that saves a lot of time and money, but doesn't increase the top line, you can get a margin at the beginning, but over time, it's very hard to sustain it. And that's one reason that we think the best solutions try to build a full stack solution where they can get embedded on a workflow that affects the top and bottom line simultaneously. And then the workforces, I think, that are in tech companies kind of give you an interesting misalignment with these sort of mature industries like real estate. When you have a high beta workforce that's very high talent, probably less on experience, long on energy and IQ and risk-taking, but not necessarily deep on process and experience and working in an existing model where the industry is on 50-year asset lives and moves fairly slow and has a lot of process around it. Things don't happen fast. People are worried about, making mistakes. And so you bring in these high beta technologies and companies trying to sell solutions to very slow moving enterprises. It's often just a misfit in terms of the people alignment. So just something else to keep in mind. Now, I do think there's a lot of things happening outside of the shade of the oak tree in real estate that are CBRE and other big players, JLL, Cushman & Wakefield. By the way, congratulations, Saeed, on the Cushman & Wakefield deal, if you just saw that announcement. Very good, one of the largest real estate services companies in the world just signed a founding agreement in real estate with Plug and Play. But outside of the direct real estate technologies like the Kahuas and CoStars and PlanGrid, another one that just had a great exit to Autodesk, if you heard about that, some things that are happening that we're all keeping our eyes on are things like AI for autonomous vehicles. So everyone's starting to think, what do I do when the number of cars that I need in my office parking lot, for those of you who noticed today, would have been nice. What do I do when I don't need all that parking? What do I do with that real estate? How do I how does that affect my purchase decisions going in? If you go into most new suburban office buildings in Palo Alto today, you'll notice that instead of having ramps that go up circular all the way around, or sort of a ramp on each level going up, they've now decided in the last 4 or 5 years, every floor of parking is flat, and then there's just a small ramp up to and between each floor. That's so they can convert it to office space later. They're already planning on new buildings that the autonomous vehicle is going to be such a wild card that they're putting a hedge in on their office parking. In fact, Chop Keenan, his newest office building in downtown Palo Alto, 3 floors down, every subfloor is flat. And then there's a small ramp between each one. And he thinks he'll, in 10 or 15 years, have all office down there. So that's an impact that is
weighs on the minds of all the big players in real estate. Drones, what are we going to do when the supply chain and logistics is starting to get a lot of the deliveries that are now done from warehouses of traditional trucking and bimodal and trimodal characteristics, when that starts to be done by drones, and it changes the need for real estate from maybe a centralized large facility where you would take big trains and trucks coming in to many more smaller dispersed facilities where drones are going to be the distribution for the last mile. If that happens, you might have noticed about 2 years ago, Amazon took out a patent that got a lot of press for a beehive designed warehouse. And the whole patent was around, what if drones delivered in a vertical situation, just like bees do in a beehive? And it literally was a beehive constructed type of facility, thinking that if nature's already solved that problem, maybe we'll just do one like that. So people are watching that carefully. The whole data analytics field and AI field is going to make a lot of the things we do obsolete. And I think that it is only a matter of time before some of the regulatory constraints that we now have to deal with in terms of city approvals, architectural designs, when you can have the intelligence in the cloud go out and get you all the information that you need for your building and its location and its approvals, and handle all of those processes for you, that will be something that everybody thinks is going to happen, and it's nowhere close to being solved yet. Another big impact outside of real estate, but we know it's going to be an impact, is AR/VR. If you recall Cisco's telepresence solution, they were basically selling it as an alternative to air travel. And once you have AR and VR, you could theoretically make a big impact on remote office workers and bring people together and have them feel like they're in the same room, and they don't even have they're in a virtual office. So there's some interesting discussions going on with all the big real estate players on what are you doing with AR and VR for your customers. And when everything gets on demand, this is what WeWork is moving toward. So WeWork has solved a demand problem, which was there was a pent-up demand for real estate with the kind of flexibility that WeWork offers, much like there was a pent-up demand for the flexibility of what Uber offers. I'd like to think that real estate's not quite as broken as the taxi business, but it's always interesting to think about what the taxi business did when Uber came along. Here's what the 10 or 12 things that you had broken with the taxi business. Who's the cab driver, and is that person competent? Where's the cab? How long till it gets here? How do I pay? How much will it cost? What's the quality of the cab I'm going to get? How big will it be? Does this cab driver know where I am? Does he know how to find me? Does the cab driver know how to get to where I'm going? Are there cabs available? So there were so many things of sort of opacity about that industry and low quality that Uber, and with one simple smartphone, Uber solved all of them. WeWork was effectively saying, we're going to do that same thing to real estate. We're going to make it available, kind of flexible, easy. You're going to give you a lot of services around it and make it more like what you would want rather than what building owners have just traditionally provided. There are those who believe that it is not necessarily a viable model forever, because can you keep getting paid a margin that you need to sustain all those services, and can you maintain that growth rate? But very smart investors have already been voting with lots of money. Their most recent valuation was $68 billion, I believe. And they have had billions of dollars put in by people who've understood their financials and believe it will work. So that has turned everybody's head in real estate. And CBRE just announced a competitive product. And this is one of my most heartfelt opinions about incumbent real estate players versus new entrants. The biggest problem anybody that's an incumbent industry has when a new entrant comes in is the difference in speed. So a pre-internet company like a CBRE, like a Microsoft, like a Staples, which I happen to be on the board of, they move at the speed of pre-internet. They make decisions in a centralized way. They have long meetings. They have to talk face-to-face. And then they study, and then they roll it out, and then they try it, and then they're not sure it'll work, so then they roll it out slowly. Meanwhile, the Amazons of the world, the WeWorks of the world, try it instantly, and they distribute their decision-making, and they roll it out, and if it doesn't work, they're more than happy to move on, and they've probably tried 10 things to find the one that works, while their competitors who don't have that post-internet DNA are still experimenting. And this is why Walmart bought Jet and Flipkart, and this is why Microsoft finally made the change with Satya. They have to change their DNA, and it is the hardest thing for an incumbent to do is change their DNA. And when they're getting faced with new entrants that are better, stronger, faster, they have to. So I think those are all elements of what's going on in the space. I do think the timing is better now than it's ever been. The amount of money that's come into the industry is in the billions. The number of VC firms that are doing real estate, Fifth Wall's done a great job. The brilliance of Fifth Wall was they went and got almost all the big incumbents. They got Hines, JLL, Cushman, CBRE, Brookfield, Lennar, on and on. They got all of the big incumbent players to put money in their fund, and then much like Plug and Play does with its corporate relationships, they become the eyes and ears for the industry. And that got a lot of people's attention. They found some good deals, and it gave them an exhaust flow back into their knowledge base of what does the industry want now? What can I invest in now that the industry will buy now? And that's a smart way to go about it. So I think the industry's getting more open to technology, feeling the pressure that, hey, we need to get the information out to the field, make decisions faster, make better decisions, have more information, and so on. So with the way the markets are evolving across all the verticals, real estate is one of the slower moving to respond, but starting to get there. So I think the numbers last year invested in real estate over $5 billion in 100 companies. Now, $4 billion of that went into WeWork and Airbnb. And then so the other billion went into 98 companies. But there was money equal amounts of money put into drones, autonomous vehicles, data analytics, and nobody ignores what Amazon is doing. Amazon's having a huge impact on the industrial REIT business. Prologis, who's another close relationship with Plug and Play, they're Amazon's biggest landlord, and they watch very closely what Amazon's doing with technology, with logistics, with data analytics, because that affects the entire supply chain. And so there's so many things affecting real estate directly and then indirectly. The industry is finally coming around, and we're starting to see some very interesting opportunities. I do think there's a whole nother talk, and I know we're running a little behind, so I'm not going to spend much time on it, but there's a whole nother talk on what do retailers do given that Amazon is literally unstoppable. They're in a white space, moving at post-internet speeds, and even the best of the incumbents are still trying to figure out how to come close to moving at the speed Amazon does to catch up with them and all the things that they continue to do. And I always say Costco is the one exception of the big box retailers that has a little bit of a built-in moat, because they only have 3,500 SKUs in a store. And people that shop at Costco, they may not know it, but what they've effectively done is said, I don't really know exactly what brand I'm going to buy, but I know Costco is going to give me an extremely high value and quality on what I buy. So people let Costco curate for them, and that is a very sticky proposition. Whereas if you go to Amazon, then you're kind of in the whole, how do I figure out what quality I want, what brand I want, and you'd have to do all that yourself. You go to Costco, you know you're getting a good buy. You may or may not should have bought it, but you know you're getting a good buy. And then another way to think about it in the long run, and I'll wrap here, is if you think about Amazon and you're a retailer, you know Amazon is stealing your customers. So if you're a real estate service provider, a contractor, a building owner, an occupier, you need to think similarly, who's going to be the Amazon in my business? WeWork for sure If you're in the hotel business, it's Airbnb. And so you definitely have to have an eye on what is going to be the threat that I need to prepare myself against, and how am I going to use technology and information intelligently to protect myself. In the banking business, I sit on a small bank board. We ask the CEO every board meeting, what are you going to do when Amazon comes into banking? And they're doing it. They have low interest rate credit cards. They're effectively making loans to their customers. They are effectively going to be a bank. And why do I need to put my money in a credit union or a regional bank or Wells if I can do all that through a trusted Amazon who already has got all my information? So the last thing that I think, because it's a long-term game, the real estate business thinks, what will my customer want 15 years from now? And that's the kind of thinking that's led to these people making flat parking garage floors and thinking about where they're going to locate office buildings, warehouses, shopping centers. There's not a lot of new shopping centers being built, and there's a lot of vacancy in the existing shopping centers nationally. Now, there is exceptions. I mean, there's some really good exceptions to that here in the Bay Area in particular, but in general, when you start thinking these are 50-year assets, you have to think 15 years ahead. Where is this industry headed? How's it going to be financed? What's the ownership structures going to be? What is the information I'm going to need to be able to act upon when that happens, et cetera. So with that, I'll close. I'm not as negative on real estate as a technology play as I may sound, although I still haven't done that. I'm a small investor in PlanGrid, which just exited in Kahua, but there have been very few that I've personally put money in. But I'm actually looking very hard at real estate all the time, so anybody who wants to contact me, Saeed and the others here have my info. Happy to respond and let you know what we're interested in, and data analytics as well. So with that, thank you very much, and continued success with the conference.
Thank you very much. All righty, thank you very much, Curtis. So quick introduction, my name is Miles. I am the director of the Real Estate and Construction Program here at Plug and Play. And I'd like to welcome everyone on behalf of myself, the organization, and Plug and Play to the final program of the 2018 Winter Summit. So today this week, we've seen presentations from our insurance program, health, travel, hospitality. We started the day with mobility and then IoT, and our last program is going to be real estate and construction. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into things. So just an overview of what to expect for the evening. I'm going to have quick opening remarks. This will probably last 6-7 minutes. We actually had to switch the order, so we will not be doing, we already did the keynote. So after me, we'll jump right into the startups. Afterwards, we'll invite 2 of our partners on stage for our corporate awards. And then lastly, we'll end with some closing remarks on the program. So just by a quick raise of the hands, is this the first time for anyone here in this room? If you could raise your hand if it's your first time here to Plug and Play. Otherwise, okay, so we have some newcomers here. So I'm going to give a quick overview of what Plug and Play is, what do we do, and why do we exist. In short, Plug and Play, we are the world's largest global innovation platform. And we aim to do 3 main things. We invest in startups. We run a number of industry-specific acceleration programs, real estate and construction being one of those, but we have 13 other programs. And on top of that, we have a global reach. So as you can see from this slide, we have offices around the world. We have a strong presence in China. We're also located in Japan. In Europe, we have a presence in Amsterdam, France, and Germany as well. Here in the United States, our headquarters are Silicon Valley, but we also have offices in Cleveland and in New York as well. And I alluded to it already, but we actually have 14 verticals here. So real estate is actually just one part of this entire ecosystem. So just to name a few other verticals that could be of interest for people in the real estate and construction world, things like travel and hospitality. If you're an asset owner and your assets are hotels or retails focused, you could be interested in travel, hospitality, possibly retail. If you're a construction company, maybe supply chain management could be interesting. You might also be thinking about health, the health of your construction workers. So the takeaway from this slide is that even though in this section we're looking at real estate and construction, we really encourage our partners to cross-pollinate across our different programs, because there could be a technology that you hadn't thought about that could be applicable. So a little bit of background on today and exactly what for those people who are new, what's happening today and how did we get here. Essentially, today you can think of it as a demo day. Essentially, we're going to have about 10 startups pitching across both real estate and the construction sector. And the way we actually decided on these startups, it wasn't Plug and Play that chose them, it was our corporate partners. So as you can see on the left of the screen, all of our anchor partners, we talk with them and we figure out what are their key focus areas and challenges within their business. We then use those areas as a filter to look through over 500 startups and come up with a list of 100 startups that we show to our anchor partners. They then vote on all of those startups, and then we invite the top 30 to pitch in person, which happened just 3 months ago. Then from those 30, we have our partners vote, and we invite the top 10 that are going to be in our program, and those are the startups that you'll see pitching today. So that's some background on kind of what happened or how we got to where we are. So jumping into the real estate program, these are those focus areas that I talked about. So we got together with our partners, and over the course of a year, we looked at their deal flows, and this is a breakdown of what their focus areas were. And these will be updated again for 2019 when we start sourcing for our next batch. So as you can see, this is broken down into planning and design before the building's built. Then you have your construction phase, and then at the end, it's the asset management and smart building. So we really look at everything across the entire value chain of real estate. And this is a slide of our partners. So if you're not familiar with these logos, we work with companies ranging from developers to construction companies to asset owners, and even with the addition of Cushman & Wakefield, now real estate services companies as well. And it's really our partners that help us shape this program, so I just want to say thank you to our partners. It's been a pleasure working with them, and it's really through their efforts that we have been able to create this great program. And what you're seeing here, the partners that are highlighted here are the partners that have joined us in 2018. So we added 8 partners this year, and I'll touch on that a little bit. So real fast, I'm going to recap what happened over this past year. So for those who aren't familiar, the real estate program is one of our newer programs. We launched in March. Actually, March 8th was our first selection day of 2018. And since then, we've been able to add 8 new partners, the newest one being Cushman & Wakefield. But you can also see Kajima and Fannie Mae. I see some faces here, actually Yuji from Kajima. And then we have some ecosystem partners as well. So BI Group from Kazakhstan, they're here as well. Long4, Futureland, APTI from Thailand. A lot of our partners in China as well. So we're very proud of these partners. And on top of the partners, we were also able to accelerate 22 startups. And you get to see the cream of the crop actually here today. I won't go into too much detail here, but this is just some of the actions that or activity our partners have been up to over this past year. So Shimizu and Takanaka, they're some of the partners who have been with us the longest. Some of the pilots that they have ongoing, so Claire, it's a familiar face. Essentially, they're looking at air quality within buildings and making recommendations on how you can improve that if it's not up to standards. And then with Shimizu, a company like Concrete Sensors, who was in our first batch, they're an IoT sensor you put inside concrete to help you understand when it's been set. 2 notable events that we had. So on the left, you see a Prologis event. We had the CEO of Prologis. Prologis is the largest owner of industrial real estate in the world. We had their CEO in for a fireside chat with Saeed. It was a great event. He was able to talk with our company about his story. And then on the right, you see the future of construction. This was an amazing event we held together with our Japanese partners. We had over 200 attendees. We had brick and mortar, a great panel with brick and mortar, McCarthy Construction, Stanford University, talking about how construction is going to start adopting technologies. And how do you close the gap between what we're seeing today and where technology needs to be, or at least where companies want it to be. And finally, what I'll end with is our global reach. So I mentioned it earlier that our headquarters, especially for the real estate program, is here in Silicon Valley, but we also have a strong presence in China. I recently returned from a trip to from Beijing, where I saw the expo there, and it's pretty incredible to see the scale of the companies there and what they're doing. And it's really exciting. Wanda Group, a huge asset owner in China, they own a lot of shopping plazas. They're working with a lot of companies to save energy and predict the energy that they're going to use in the future so that they can buy it ahead of time and save money. It's pretty amazing. We recently launched our Smart Cities initiative in Paris in October, and they'll be starting their first program in February of 2019. So if you have any interest to get involved there, please feel free to reach out to me. And then lastly, we are currently doing explorations about opening an office in Germany as well. More on that to come. So in closing, Plug and Play is really here to help corporations become innovative and connect them with some of the best startups out there and help them figure out how do you actually work with these startups. Do you buy them? Do you invest? What are the steps between meeting the startup and actually getting a commercial engagement? So if you have any questions, you're just curious, please feel free to find me. My email's there. I'll be around today. And without any further ado, I'm going to invite Kia onto the stage to get the program started. So thank you very much for your time.
Should I help you to carry the slide? All right, thank you, Miles. All right, hi everyone. If I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, my name is Kia. I am a venture associate at Plug and Play on the real estate and construction tech vertical. And we're very excited to see you guys here today. We have a lot of people from different corners of the globe here today, so thank you for joining us. But without further delay, we're going to introduce our startups. First up is Triax. Triax helps construction companies improve their productivity and safety. So from Triax is Justin. Please put your hands together.
Thank you. So just point that corner, okay? Perfect. Good afternoon, and thank you. So 3 minutes is going to go by fast, so I'll jump right in. At Triax, our mission is to change construction's transformation through intelligent, innovative technology and real-time data to make the workforce smarter, safer, faster, and better. How we do this in a very dynamic environment is by deploying our network that we patent protected and developed around scaling with the building in an incredibly dynamic environment that is dense concrete, steel, and going vertical at the same time. On this slide, you see a lot of large numbers. What I want to point out here is that what you've heard today is the demand for construction is still there. The worker supply is down, so there is an ever-present importance on our workforce and the efficiencies that that workforce is capable of doing with no end in growth in sight. So how we do this is through three major components. First, we deploy our mesh network over the entire job site that communicates in real time with our three hardware pieces, our flagship being the Spotter Clip. That clip transmits real-time data to our dashboard that's accessible from the cloud-based dashboard app that you can have on your cell phone, tablet, or computer, giving you, again, important safety information, visibility to where your work is at by trade, by floor, by subcontractor, through the life of the project at your fingertips. So up here are just a few of our industry partners that we are currently on construction sites with. You'll see some big names up here. We're very proud of that. We're also very proud of our integrations with construction's leading software management systems, Procore, Oracle, and Autodesk, making it more efficient for our clients to operate faster with automated data flowing into those platforms. So what I want to do now is just show you a brief video, giving you a visual of what our system does, and look forward to talking to you after.
At this site, there is no greater priority than ensuring everyone returns home safely, which is where technology can help. The Spotter Clip is required PPE on this site and provides a direct line of communication to supervisors in the event of a safety situation that requires attention. The Spotter device clips onto your waist belt and must be worn properly at all times to maximize the safety benefits. It cannot be worn on your helmet, safety vest, tool belt, or anywhere else. And when it comes to Spotter, there are three things you need to remember. 1. The device must be worn properly on your hip to accurately detect falls and maximize the safety benefits of the system. 2. press and hold your self-alert button if you need help or something on-site requires the immediate attention of a supervisor. 3. When you hear this evacuation alarm, immediately proceed to your muster point. This rechargeable safety device does not use GPS, which means there is no off-site monitoring. The spotter clip automatically detects worker falls on-site and sends a notification to supervisors telling them where the fall occurred, so help can be sent to you or your fellow workers more quickly. To report a hazard, injury, or other safety-related issue, press and hold the self-alert button at the bottom of your device until you hear this double beep. This will send an immediate notification to your supervisor. In a situation that requires evacuation, your spotter clip will emit an alarm that might be accompanied by loud flashing spotter evac tags located throughout the job site. Upon hearing or seeing the evacuation alarm, proceed immediately to your muster point. Wear the spotter clip whenever you're on site and always have a partner in job site safety.
So he just said it best right there. Always have a partner in job site safety. We'd like to think that we improve efficiencies and productivity as well. Thank you for your time. If you have interest, please seek me out or work with your Plug and Play rep to learn more after. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Justin. Next up is SpotScale. SpotScale builds precise 3D models of buildings. All the way here from Sweden is Ludwig. Please put your hands together for Ludwig.
Thank you, man. So here you see some buildings of different style, age, and materials. Appraisers spend an enormous amount of time driving out to these buildings to do a property valuation, insurance settings, and assessing the roofs and all kinds of materials for renovation. So what if the AI can do all of this instead? What if machine learning could understand everything about the building, the materials, the size, the age, and everything? So machine learning is going to be very, very big in the future to just understand everything about the building. So there are huge efficiency gains to be made in insurance and real estate assessment and appraisal. SpotScale is a 3D machine learning company out of Sweden. And we produce a lot of these kind of buildings, large and small buildings in 3D, just based on imagery or movies. And here you can see these digital twins that we have produced, thousands and thousands of these in all countries of the world. Here you see how a user uses 4K video to film their own house, and a 3D model is produced where a professional appraiser can do valuation of this on a remote basis. Here you see drone images taken of a building. Thousands of drone images turn into a 3D digital twin, and you see also here that there's a crack. So there are problems with the building, but we don't know how many there are. So the images are uploaded to the SpotScale cloud, and then you have a 3D replica delivered directly to your browser just within hours. And all the images are then analyzed in our cloud, so every crack is identified in every single image. And this is a thing that's really tedious to do manually, especially if the cracks are many and spread all over the building. Then, in our machine learning, we would merge all these observations into 3D. So now an appraiser can actually comfortably sit on the office, examining, zooming in detail to see all these cracks. And that saves a lot of time in the industry. Also in asset management, you have engineers and contractors going out, measuring roof materials, window materials, how much facade is there. You don't need to do that anymore. We have the solution with machine learning. We just interpret the images, and you see there in purple, for example, we have interpreted all the roof areas, so that's just automated. Last but not least, we have the insurer adjuster claims use case. Here you see a burnt down house in the UK, and you see that the roof is missing. But, well, we could measure that anyway and understand how big is the damage to this roof. We work with a lot of the largest carriers in the UK currently, and and you see how much time they save and revolutionize their process. So I don't think I need to tell you about how huge the market is for real estate and insurance appraisal. But we're raising money, so I'd love to talk to you guys. Please come find me afterwards. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Our next presenter is Casper. Think of Casper as your operating system for your smart home. Please put your hands together for Ash.
Thank you. Hi, so we are a fully integrated smart home solution. I like to call it as a operating system for smart homes. So our founding team has background in AI, operating systems, and IoT. And what we do is we are partners with multifamily real estate developers. So typically, we do projects of the size of 100 home communities or 400 home communities. And we work with them to get a lot of features in smart homes at the cost of an iPhone, just at the cost of an iPhone. So for example, this house has LED lighting, motorized roller shades, appliances that we do in partnership with companies such as Panasonic. We have many other things related to safety, security, pets, and so on. And we partner with the real estate developers to construct all these buildings. So at this point in time, we have a lot of different partners. For example, Panasonic, Wolf Company, which is one of our real estate partners, Katera, and we have buildings going across the United States in different places, such as Las Vegas, Santa Rosa, Bay Area, Los Angeles, Tokyo, and so on and so forth. And the interesting thing about such buildings is that these buildings are making a huge return on investment on the amount of money that the builders put in. So basically, by putting all these different kinds of devices that include cameras, voice control for devices, and so on and so forth. The clicker is not working, huh? So basically, we are building a lot of such buildings in which residents get to see a variety of features. For example, in one of our Wolf buildings, residents can get up and say, open the curtains. And our operating system knows that the curtains would open at a certain point in time, and they can wake the resident up by opening the curtains, playing the music. If something happens at the door of the apartment complex, then our Casper operating system tells the residents that, hey, a package arrived at your door, or your kids reached home, and so on and so forth. So with our design and operating system, the builders just spend a couple of $100s per apartment, maybe 1,000 or something, and they are making about 30% ROI on their investment, which is a big win for the real estate developers. To tell you a little bit about our team, I was a professor in artificial intelligence, computer science at Cornell, did my PhD at Stanford. We started this company together with David Cheriton, whose last company was Arista Networks, where it's an IPO'd company, and other people such as Corey Gates, who was the CTO of iControl Networks. With our investors such as Fritz Wolf, Michael Marks, and Ron Conway, we are taking forward our company, partnering with real estate developers, and making a lot of smart apartment complexes that brings ROI to our partners. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. All right, thank you, Ash. Our next presenter is OnSite IQ. OnSite IQ is a progress documentation and risk assessment platform all the way from New York. Please put your hands together for Adelon.
Thank you, Kia. So I'm sure that you're familiar with the construction industry, right? 3 workers a day die on a construction site here in the States. And it doesn't stop there. The quality of work is going down based on a report by Zurich Insurance. In 2016, the defect claims hit an all-time high. Now, when you look at the numbers, you'll notice there's a very strong correlation between the rate of injuries, fatalities, and the frequency of inspections on a job site. And guess what? The insurance companies who are insuring all these projects, they inspect 1 out of every 10 project. So the lack of frequent inspection leads to around $21 billion a year in safety-related and defect-related claims for insurance companies. And at OnSite IQ, we want to increase the frequency of documentation, audit and inspection, and risk assessment on the job site. Let me tell you how it works. We have a network of data collectors. They use off-the-shelf 360-degree cameras, and they go to the job sites every single week and walk the entire site. The only thing we need from our clients, which are insurance companies, owners, and developers, is a floor plan of a building. The data comes back, and our software automatically maps it to the floor plan. So that the blue nodes show the walkthrough path. Now, you click on any given point, it takes you to the site. You can pan around. You can see what was going on the job site, and the artificial intelligence platform identifies different safety issues, risks, and hazards on the job site. Not only that, but also you can log in from any location and at any time and walk the site and get access to your job site. So let's see who can gain access to this platform. Your general contractor, your investors, financiers, and also your architects. And also it's pretty much like a flip book. It lets you go back and forth in time and see what was the site condition, let's say 3 months ago. You also can tag, add issues, add annotation, and share it with your entire team. And again, I would love to emphasize here, this is a turnkey solution. So we go to the site, collect the data, it gets mapped, and you just get access to the output. And we have a very simple model. It's a monthly subscription for different tiers. It starts with the basic visual documentation, and then we're upselling with reports on the safety, progress, and risk assessment on top. Thank you so much for your time, and if you have any questions, I'll be here after the event.
All right, thank you, Adelan. Our next presenter is Aculus. Aculus is making building information visible. All the way from New York again, please put your hands together for Darren. Just make sure you point that way, okay?
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Darren. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Aculus. I have a degree in mechanical engineering, and I worked at the Barclays Center, where I watched a single building go $100 million over budget. Not my fault. It's far from uncommon, though. The global construction industry wastes upwards of $140 billion a year on problems exactly like the ones that I observed. The core of the problem is that every construction project is dozens of companies trying to collaborate, but communication is a nightmare. Current communication platforms create silos of information, and errors in design slip through all the time and become million-dollar problems. At Aculus, we're resolving this by building state-of-the-art communication and collaboration software for general contractors. It's the easiest way to disseminate the most up-to-date 3D designs. For those in the industry, it's a streamlined, web-based BIM collaboration platform. Let me show you how it works. The general contractor sees that a pipe is clashing with a structural component. Now, typically, this and 50 other issues get put into an Excel sheet, which become many long email chains, and it gets lost in the shuffle. They repeat this every single week. On Aculus, in a few clicks, you can put a tracked issue right in the model with the structural engineer and the plumbing contractor. Our proprietary web-based model viewer opens on any internet-enabled device, so you don't need to train your field team on complicated model viewing software. With the click of a link, the foreman can immediately jump in and suggest resolutions. In the end, the pipe is moved to avoid the clash, and the designs are sent out to be manufactured, confident that they won't cause problems during installation. These problems are so big that countries like the US, UK, and Germany have mandated 3D on all public projects with stricter regulations every year. This is driving accelerated adoption so that by 2022, spend will be $9 billion on 3D collaboration software. Even though we're early, we've attracted the attention of top construction firms. We have a couple of really prominent pilots starting in 2019, and we're actively looking for more pilot partners. We sell directly to general contractors on a per-project basis, and over time expand into more projects. And we have the team to execute. Our technical team has experience in digital signal processing, cybersecurity, and machine learning. Our COO has design and marketing experience from top New York startups. We just finished the Techstars New York City Accelerator program in New York, and we're closing a round of funding with room for a few more participants. In the next 40 years, humans will need to build as much housing and infrastructure as we did in the last 4,000 years. Join Aculus as we build the future of construction. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Thank you, Darren. All right, our next presenter is Flow Labs. Flow Labs provides insights to water consumption. Please put your hands together for Jimit.
Hi. 4 years ago, we started Flow Labs with the intention to raise the overall standards of water monitoring and efficiency in commercial real estate. The first problem that we found was pretty straightforward. While lot of the operational expenses or operational processes around monitoring and managing a building, a property, are pretty chaotic. Over the past few years, we've seen that a lot of the processes are simplifying and turning into more graceful solutions. Over the past several years, we've seen billions pouring into this, and by 2022, we're expected to spend $22 billion in smarter solutions. But for some reason, when it comes to water, it's remained the same for a long time. It's plagued with manual readings, clipboards, and spreadsheets. And this doesn't just make the process inefficient, but we're talking about billions of dollars lost every year in water leak damages, which I'm sure if you've owned properties or managed them, might have experienced it, unfortunately. So we believe that that has to change. So 6 months ago, we introduced this solution called AquaPulse. What you're seeing here is two-part systems. One's the hardware. The sleeve over here, you'll see in the next slide, it slips onto existing water meters. So most of the properties today will have water meters, sub-meters already installed. So we're using the existing infrastructure to collect the data automatically from those meters. Then there's a processing unit, and finally the web dashboard. So here's the image I was talking about. You'll see it just kind of slip right in, and then the processing units attach either on the pipe or on the wall. So like I said, we introduced this 6 months ago. We've collected some data from existing customers, commercial properties in San Francisco Bay Area. This is one of the properties where we installed the device, and within the first couple of days, you can see the red. We saw the water usage pretty high. There was consistent flow. And then after alerting the customer, they started fixing the problems, and you can see over the next several months, this was about $440 a month saved. Then this is an example of a cooling tower. One of our chief engineers working the property for 11 years did not realize the typical patterns of the cooling towers on and off, and they've had an issue where the float valve got stuck and had a 200,000 gallons per day loss. So something like our device can monitor it and trigger an alert right away. Here's one of our customers out in San Francisco Bay Area. He's just excited to have actionable data on water for the first time and doesn't have his guys going around collecting water meter readings and analyzing them visually every day and week. So we believe that overall, just from the operational savings alone, there's over $10,000 that properties like Tim's, which is over 1 million square feet, will spend, and millions of dollars of exposure. Just a couple months ago, I had a call from one of the larger asset management firms. They had a $15 million loss on water leak in a property in Seattle. So aside of that, were just other benefits around operational efficiency, peace of mind, reduced risk, and an investment Tim would make for that is around $7,000 a year. So that's Flow Labs. We're starting to work with several buildings in San Francisco Bay Area, and we're hoping to improve standards and efficiency standards 1 building at a time. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Jemit. Our next presenter is Alcatraz AI. Alcatraz AI has developed a physical access control leveraging facial recognition. Please put your hands together for Vince.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Vince. I'm the CEO of Alcatraz AI. We are a facial authentication company for physical access control. We started developing this about 3 years ago because we saw a very known issue in the industry, in the security industry with physical access. We used to work at Apple, and even there, everything is just being used with badges, and on all the doors that need a little bit more security, there is a guard standing outside asking people to badge in, making sure everyone badges in, so there is no tailgating going on. So we decided to solve this, making something that's inherently more secure, but less friction. So we make hardware and software. On the hardware side, we have 3 different cameras all bundled in one sensor at the door, which is swapped with a badge reader. And we also have a badge reader built into our device. The main component is a 3D sensor that can not only do facial recognition on you, but also will do anti-spoofing. So it increases security quite a bit with the face. We can also detect tailgating. For example, if I'm an employee and if I'm going into the door, we can detect the face, we can see if they have access, but if someone else is following behind me, we can see if they have access and we can notify security or even keep the door locked in case they don't. In this case, you don't really need a security guard standing outside the door. You can just have Alcatraz AI sensing. Inherently, we can also do two-factor authentication with badge and face as well. So a big problem in the industry to move from anything more than badging, let's say fingerprint or iris scanning, is you need to call all the employees back to the ID office to take a new scan of something, a face or a fingerprint. What we do is something a little different. We ask all the employees to just keep using their badges, and as they're badging in, we take scans of their face. And in time, within a week or two, we know enough about the face to switch on face-only authentication instead of badging, kind of like a self-enrollment system. We integrate seamlessly with the existing security system. So any building, any company that has badging, we're going to be built in. Our business model is we give the device at cost as an onboarding fee, and then we charge monthly for analytics, tailgating, and other services. Currently, we're doing pilots with some system integration companies. Actually, our biggest investor is Johnson Controls, Tyco, and a bunch of high-tech companies in the Valley. At some point in March, we're going to go outside Silicon Valley to do pilots. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vince. Our next presenter is FormFound Design. FormFound Design is bringing robotics to the concrete construction industry. Please put your hands together for Joseph and Ron.
Thank you, Kia. I'm Joseph Serafian. This is my partner, Ron Culver. We're FormFound Design. We think it's crazy that today the world pours concrete the same way that it did 2,000 years ago when the Pantheon was built. Today, with 3D printing and industrial robots, we think it's time for the construction industry to catch up to the rest of the industry, the world. So precast industry in the US was only $18 billion, but this is going to increase to $58 billion globally by 2022. So the field is ripe. We know about the housing crisis below, but we don't know what's less common is the scarcity of skilled labor. Justin mentioned it earlier, but this is a major problem in the industry. So our solution is robotics, it's a web app, and it's material science through concrete to solve that problem. So combining the precision of robots and digital 3D printing, we can have quality control, reduce the waste of concrete, and increase the speed and precision of casting concrete. So what we've developed is a digital to physical pipeline to develop 3D geometry and get it to the construction site. So we're 3D modeling, structural analysis, robotic manufacturing, and on-site construction with concrete. So we're using the precision of robots and the freedom of fabric in this instance. So any geometry can be rationalized, fabricated with robots. Our secret sauce structurally is the steel fiber called Helix Steel, which gives us excellent tensile strength. So this is us going from the computer to the robot to the construction site pouring concrete. So that's the steel fiber going in, robots position the fabric is stretched, concrete is poured.
One of the advantages of our process is that we're able to reduce the construction and documentation down to a single page for most projects. And here is one project that we recently completed for Amazon, and this we just found out yesterday we won an award for. And it is a 5,000-pound, 70 pieces of precast concrete, about 14 feet high, pavilion for their Mars conference in Palm Springs. And we've partnered with CTS Rapid Set Cement, and we're using their ultra-high performance concrete to work on development of building facades as well as furniture. The ultra-high performance will give us about 7 times the strength of conventional concrete at about 24 times the speed. And here we're trying to we're going to be bringing the robotic manufacturing directly to the job site so that you can have just-in-time concrete and no transportation costs, much reduced in the process. And we're also looking at ultra-high performance concrete using as landscape furniture and doing it with 3D printing. We see that there's a very high profit margin of about 80% on some of these projects, some of these objects, and we get very high quality and durable products. And we can see overall about a $5 million profit margin in about 5 years, which is remarkable. And here's our team. This is I'm Joseph and Ron and Steve, and we've got combined about 70 years of experience in architecture and fabrication. Some of the people that we partnered with here, and we've had a lot of press and traction online and in print. We go around the world and present conferences. We have written multiple peer-reviewed papers. This is the last project we completed about 2 weeks ago in Orange County at a mall. And once again, we're Form Found Design, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Joseph. Our next presenter is RealWear. RealWear develops voice-enabled, hands-free wearables. Please put your hands together for Feroz.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Feroz Mohammed, and let's start with a small video about our product.
Today's workers need the best tools to do their job. Safer, faster, smarter. Luckily, every worker already has the best tools, a pair of hands. Today's industrial workers juggle lots of devices. Yet, out there on the job, sometimes they need a third hand to hold a flashlight, manuals, some tools. RealWear aims to free your hands with the world's first completely hands-free Android tablet. Head-mounted with plenty of room to use with a safety helmet and glasses. With both hands free, it's just a safer, faster, and smarter way to get the job done. Designed for the most demanding of industrial environments, rugged enough for military use. Use simple voice commands, even in loud industrial environments. With hands-free, real-time collaboration, remote experts can see what the field worker sees. Solve problems, prevent mistakes, coach a worker through a new procedure, and record it for training videos. The results and cost savings speak for themselves. The RealWear HMT1. Free your hands.
Okay, so we make hands-free Android head wearable tablet. This is designed for industrial purpose, industrial workers, to improve the safety and the productivity of the workers, workers like in construction area or in other places in the field where the worker needs to be connected. They can wear this, and this device is absolutely hands-free. The only interface between the device and the user is voice. So you can just talk to the device, and the device understands your voice commands even in high noise environment. So the person wearing this can be operating a crane or a jackhammer and can still be talking to the device, and device will understand. It has really good noise cancellation. It works in 95 dB environment. It's waterproof, dustproof, drop tested on concrete floor from 2 meters height. You can use it in outdoors. It has a clear display. You can use the display in bright sunlight. And it goes with helmet, or it also goes with different other head wearable options. We also have world's first Class 1, Division 1, Zone 1, intrinsically safe device, which you can use in explosive areas. So wherever you have needs for test and inspection or digital workflow, or you need assistance, remote assistance, or you can do logistics. So wherever you need any remote operations, or you want to view the video absolutely hands-free, or you want to do any maintenance or repair jobs, you can use this device. And we are in almost all the verticals: power, utilities, oil and gas, manufacturing, aviation, you name it, and we are there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Feroz. So most of you should have downloaded Brella by now. If you don't know what Brella is, it's the networking app that we use for our expos. But we also use this app to vote for startups. So end of this, we'll have a People's Choice Award go to a startup. So please vote through Brella. If you have not downloaded Brella, please go to your app store, search for Brella, B-R-E-L-L-A. Back of your badge, there is the networking app information. You'll have to type in Winter Summit 18, and then log in through social media or your email, and then you can vote on the startups. Last but certainly not least is our last startup, Struction Site. Struction Site automates documentation and production tracking in construction. Please put your hands together for Matt.
Guys, you made it to the end of the day. All right, so my name is Matt Daly, co-founder, CEO of Struction Site, and our company is building an intelligent construction management software. So on a typical commercial construction project, up to 1.75% of the entire project's contract value can be wasted manually documenting installed work. This may be done by the subcontractor in order to understand productivity rates, by the general contractor to understand the schedule, or the owner to actually understand and verify progress billings. What that means is in North America alone, we're wasting $21 billion on this one very basic, very simple activity. But what we discovered in exploring this first problem is that there's actually a much larger problem here, which is that there's no data showing the historical contractor performance over time. We don't have a graph like this that shows us how the contractors that we're hiring are performing over time and across projects. So how do we get there? So our solution, similar to the one you saw earlier, is very, very simple. Using nothing but a 360 camera, no LiDAR, no GPS, a builder can simply walk a job site recording 360 video. And the raw data would look something like this. We've actually got, using a mobile application, which you cannot see here, you would be giving us a starting location, an ending location on the construction drawing. We would be using some computer vision and photogrammetry technology to automatically map that onto a drawing into something that would look something like this. So in the product itself, you actually jump in and you can, again, click on the location, move to that location, and then, of course, jump back and forth and actually see what you have captured in that project over time. We also connect this to your project management system, so connecting this to Procore, to Autodesk, PlanGrid, and companies of that sort. But the real magic here is taking that same computer vision technology and applying it to extracting the work that's been installed. So detecting framing, detecting ductwork, piping, other things of that nature, and combining that with a construction drawing as well as the schedule to understand production. Ultimately arriving here so that over time, when we get these production values on an individual project, we understand the company that produced it and get that ultimate goal of understanding contractor performance over time and across projects. And field teams are loving it. Superintendents, this superintendent here tells us he's saving us an entire day per week on schedule updates. And executives are loving it too, because this is an entirely new data set that they've never had access to, and combined with other data can provide completely new insights to managing their projects and making better business decisions. We're already deployed at over 50% of the top 20 contractors in North America. And this is brought to you by a team that's got experience and expertise ranging from 3D laser scanning and photogrammetry to construction operations. And then, of course, web and mobile engineering talent come to us from places like Google and Tesla. So if you're interested in reducing waste and increasing transparency in the construction process, we'd love to talk to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we have now concluded all of the startups for the day. Before we wrap up and go to the networking, I just want to have two of our corporations who have been really active with us in our construction real estate program from the beginning. Like I mentioned, this is one of our newest programs, but these two corporations who've been with us since the beginning have been super active. They've helped us learn a lot about shaping the program and kind of what are the needs of a construction company. So I would like to invite up our two corporate winners. First, we're going to invite Shimizu to the stage, and we'd like to award them our corporate award winner for 2018. So if we could please have our representatives from Shimizu just to the stage real fast. Thank you, Shun. Yuko. Would you like to say a word or two?
Yeah, maybe. Sure.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Shen, and this is my colleague Yuko. We're from a company called Shimizu, which is a construction company. We actually started this January, at this plug and play, and I think we've done several pilots, and also some are still under progress. So we probably had a pretty successful year, but I really think that we could do better. So hopefully next year, do more pilots and also implementation. Yeah, that's my goal. Thank you very much.
Here's a word. We can do a quick picture with us as well. You want to middle, Shun? Yeah. Thank you. Great. Thank you very much, Shimizu. And then we'd just like to invite up our second corporate award winner. So this is going to be Takenaka. Takenaka was another one of our anchor partners from the beginning, and it's been awesome really getting to know them and see their engagement with some of the corporations. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Jun-san to the stage as well from Takenaka. Here you go, Jun.
Thank you. Thank you, Miles. Thank you very much for such a great honor. And this honor is coming to the activity we did in this plug and play. And this activity cannot be made without the great effort and great support of the plug and play. So thank you very much. And with the support of the plug and play, we sourced more than 300 startups, and we started 15 POCs, pilots. And we are thinking to try some more next year and coming years. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so the last award that we have for the day are going to be our Startup Awards, the People's Choice Awards. So, and actually I'll have Kia be our announcer. Kia, you want to go ahead and announce these?
All right. First of all, thank you so much for everyone for coming out. Really appreciate it. Our People's Choice Award goes to SpotScale, all the way from Sweden. So if you can please put your hands together. Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you so much. There you go. Thank you. Of course. Jeremy?
And last but not least, the People's Choice Award for IoT goes to Bear Conductive. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great job. Oh, I guess we'll shake their hand.
Okay.
Oh, this way. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, so we've reached the conclusion of today's summit. I'd like to thank everyone for your time and for coming out to watch all our startups. Can we get one more hand for all the startups for their pitching, because it's a lot harder than it looks. Awesome. And I'd just like to say thank you to the unsung heroes, the operations teams that are running all of the slides, the teams who got everyone here, taking care of the food. So thank you very much to everyone and our corporates as well. Without further ado, we're going to have open networking back where the demo tables are. So feel free to walk over there, meet some of the startups, and get some food. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Take care.